Imagine a young boy who is sent by his mother to buy a little chili or sugar or dal from the local kirana, and the shopkeeper wraps it up in some paper. It could be a newspaper or a page of a book or a magazine. The boy runs home, carefully unpacks the contents and hands them to his mother, and then runs out with the paper it was wrapped in so that he can sit down and read what's written there. It doesn't matter what is written there. He will read it. And if it is a page from a novel, he will use his imagination to figure out what came before and what comes after. When he's 14 years old, he takes his school notebooks and starts writing novels. One is about Zinda, the terrorist who becomes a hero. Another is a spy thriller called Kill or Die. He wants to be a storyteller when he grows up. But when he does grow up and moves from a small town to a big city, people make fun of his English, advertising agencies refuse to give him a job. But there's one thing and just one thing that he was born to do, and no one can stop him from doing it. He navigates adulthood, finds a decent level of corporate success, and then gives it up to write a book. And then he becomes one of the screenwriters for a hit television series with more OTC work following, and he moves to directing, he makes a film, and today at 50, he's writing and directing films and web series, and he's also writing another book. But basically, he's just doing one thing, that thing he's done all his life. He's sitting with a page from the book of life and figuring out what came before and what comes after.
Welcome to The Seen and the Unseen, our weekly podcast on economics, politics, and behavioral science. Please welcome your host, Amit Verma.
Welcome to The Seen and the Unseen. My guest today is Suman Kumar, writer and director of the hit series A Family Man, as well as Guns and Gulabs and Farzi. He has also directed a film called Raghu Tata and written one book while working on others. Now, I first met Suman over 20 years ago, but that was in a crowded blog meetup, and this recording is actually the first proper conversation we've had. Suman's story is so inspiring to me. He grew up in a small town very far from privilege and felt deep insecurity when he came to a big city and began to question everything about himself. But through a force of will, he taught himself how to write. He was rejected from writing jobs, made a living for a while as a salesman, read a lot in multiple languages, soaked up knowledge from everywhere, and was a doer in every sense of the word. In this conversation, we speak about his journey, what he learnt about writing, how low the lows were, how being a stay-at-home dad shaped him, how he learned screenwriting and directing, and what the entertainment ecosystem is like today. There is much wisdom in this episode. At one point, Suman makes a plea for being authentic to yourself by saying, quote, "You can't make it your own if there is no own." Stop quote. And this shows through in so much of his writing. I enjoyed watching The Family Man, but it was only after speaking to Suman that I realized how much of his life and his struggles shaped the narrative arc of the series. Suman also talks about how he is, quote, perennially pregnant with stories, stop quote, and how he managed to find the discipline, which so many of us don't, to get the job done. And by the way, Suman mentions a particular date in this episode. It is that moment 10 years ago when he watched a bad stand-up show and accepted a challenge from a friend to try stand-up comedy himself. Ever the doer, ever the storyteller. The date when that happened was May 18th, 2016. This episode releases on May 18th, 2026. I don't know why that symmetry makes me irrationally happy. Enjoy this conversation, I know I did. One of the big regrets of my life is that I have procrastinated too much. What you see of me is all the work I've done in the public eye, like this podcast. What remains unseen is the 10 books I should have written and the many podcasts and YouTube ideas that never came to life. And if you suffer from the same problem, then let me introduce you to the 6% Club. This is an initiative of Deepak Gopalakrishnan, also known as Chagopal, and Utsav Memoria, both fine creators who have been on the show. Over 8 weeks, Chuck and Utsav will help you conceptualize, refine, and launch your newsletter, podcast, YouTube show, or book, whatever the project of your dreams is. They'll help you discover yourself and create from an authentic place, which is not about hacking the algo or doing hustle, hustle, hustle. You will find clarity. You will jump to action. They've mentored more than 300 people over 8 cohorts with much individual attention, one-on-one mentoring, and guest masterclasses by the likes of Krish Ashok, Mahima Vashish, Lavanya Mohan, and me. My masterclass kicks off the next cohort, which starts on June 6th. So at the very least, don't procrastinate about signing up for that. You know you want to. I say you've got to. So head on over to the6percent.club, the6percent.club. Once again, the6percent.club, and sign up. Do it. Make something of your wild and precious life. The6percent.club. Suman, welcome to the Scene and the Unseen.
I'm finally married, man. Amit, big fan.
No, thank you so much. We've known each other for more than 20, around 20 years at least, maybe 21, 22
Yeah.
years since we met as early bloggers in Bangalore. And like you correctly pointed out when you came, we've never really actually had a conversation about anything
Yeah.
in all this time. So just known each other from a distance.
I've always looked at you guys as I was scared of guys like you. You guys were too smart, too intellectual, and you know what I'm saying, right? So I was like always, and you also had secret mailing groups that Madhu used to run, or somebody else used to run. Uday used to run, I think, or still runs. I don't know.
Madhu used to run
So
one after
Saturn
that,
or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to say the name anyway. So Madhu was like, and I used to fight with him. He's like, no, there is a certain. Madhu said there's a certain quality that they expect from.
What?
Something like that he said. I'm sure he was joking. So no, but seriously, I was in awe of people who could write well, people who could because I'm from a small town. So for me, anybody who speaks flawless or writes flawless English for me it was a very aspirational thing. So
No, I mean, I kind of feel that if I gave off that vibe, I must have been doing something wrong. So
also, I think you're an introvert.
I am an introvert, yeah.
So you're not like me. I'm very what do you say? Very outgoing. Very can't shut up.
Yeah, I kind of embody Sartre's phrase, "Hell is other people." So I'm always kind of much more awkward than you in social gatherings. But I remember, meeting you then and then over the years. And I think the next time I heard of you actually was when Family Man came out, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." I actually know someone about this. Before we start talking about your life and much after that, your work and your craft, I want to ask you a broader question. If the 15-year-old Suman was to meet you today, right, what would he be pleasantly surprised by, and what would he be unpleasantly surprised by?
I think the 15-year-old me would be pleasantly surprised by my confidence, which I lacked for the better part of my life. Like I just told you. One, and unpleasantly surprised by my bad habits, which is, alcohol, smoking, all that. I'm sure it would be.
But none of those are to extremes, right? I mean,
Yeah, but still, you feel guilty about doing these things, but you still continue doing it because it's a trap. So for me, for a long time, I almost went into that, the black hole of how people slip through the alcoholism, this thing. But thankfully, like I'm surrounded by strong people, and I'm also very strong-willed. So I pulled myself out just in time, I guess. So then I started working out, and I started feeling good about myself. But I still smoke. So I think my 15-year-old me would not like that. That is in terms of, but the 15-year-old me would still be, pissed off with me about how I still continue to be that. I continue to possess that, that irritating trait of, insecurity, which, now I don't know why it is, because I'm not a shrink, so I cannot figure out, but that thing is always there, that, oh man, do I deserve it even? Like, really? Did I luck out? But at the same time, I've become way more confident now than I was like when I was 15, 20. Yeah.
But I guess it'd be more happy than sad, right? Because, he wanted to be a storyteller, you mentioned. And as a storyteller, you've just made it across
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
multiple.
No, I was just answering a question. Yeah, of course, he, I am supremely happy, and so is I'm sure my 15-year-old self would be absolutely elated to. Uh, Imagine like watching where people used to watch film fair on TV.
Mm,
I imagine like snagging four of those black ladies. Like, uh, no, that's surreal for me. That's or getting nominated for like I don't even know how many nominations were. Not that it's a uh, sign of anything, but it's just a validation from the world at large, uh, which I have always lacked.
mm,
So when finally it came, when it rained, it poured. So
yeah. Tell me about that 15-year-old Suman. Like, what was your childhood like? You were born in Madras, grew up in Chittoor. Tell me about that Chittoor childhood, whatever you remember.
Chittoor is a very small town. At least back in the day, it was like there was nothing. So I learned swimming from an irrigation well in a paddy field. Played cricket. These are the only, and of course watched movies. And my dad used to work for the government. He was in the veterinary department, and we were a very what do you say? For the better part of my until about when I was 17, we were struggling financially. So there have been days where we have gone without food for like 2 3 days, and or have only one meal. So like if you had come to my place in Chittoor, there's nothing in the house except for one cot, one old teakwood table, and that's about it. No electronics, nothing, not even a gas stove, because my dad was scared that the cylinder would blow up, whatever. So we were still using kerosene stoves. Now when I think back, we led a very not I'm not comparing to these days lifestyle these days, but we lived a very basic existence. No fancy clothes, nothing. And I think the tide turned when I think my dad got a promotion in my 11th standard, and then slowly we started like my life ambition was to buy a fridge. So that was my life in Chittu, in the sense that uh, pretty traumatic because bullied at school. Uh, um yeah, the usual. I don't know if it's the usual, but I was bullied at school because I used to be a short kid, uh, and I could speak English, and that was this guy and they used to mock me, and troll me because if by mistake I say something in the class to the teacher, to the English teacher, no less, I will get, people, kids used to make fun of me. So, like when DK and I, we were schoolmates. In ninth standard, we wrote our first novel in long form in that 192 pages. But not instead of writing it like this, we should write it landscape so that you get to write more longer,
Mm,
not more.
yeah.
So that is one thing that is that storytelling kida. Uh, I don't know how, but it's always existed right from when I was a kid. So in Little Flower Convent in Chittoor, when I used to go, so if you slip short, they will make you sit out in the ground. That's punishment. But for me, that's not punishment. That's great. Like who wants to go to school? So I used to wear shoes which have which like open their mouths like that. On purpose, used to go to school like that, Little Flower Convent. I was in like primary school then. I was third, fourth standard, and they'll throw me out along with other kids, and I used to tell stories to these kids who are my audience now. So yeah, I think once the bad phase financially got over, I think it got progressively better until we moved to Chennai.
How did those early years shape you in terms of your aspirations? Like you said, you wanted to buy a fridge, but apart from that, how did you see yourself? you love storytelling, but how did you see yourself? Like, I think when you're brought up in that kind of situation, you have those grand dreams where you see yourself breaking away from the world that you're brought up in. So, what did you see yourself doing in the future, and how did it shape your attitude towards other people? Like, I guess some of the insecurity would have obviously started in that point, right?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. The thing was, for until about until I quit, that is my corporate life in 2010-11. Until that time, for me, this was distant. I was like any other person saying, "Oh my God, Bollywood! Like, there is no way I can." For me, it was magical, and filmmaking was never my dream anyway. I wanted to write books, novels, stories. Not like I wanted to write pulp fiction, not you know literary works of art. I want to tell stories because like I would any day pick Raymond Chandler over D.H. Lawrence because I'm cut like that. Not like people who like D.H. Lawrence are. So for a long time, I for me it was all even writing a book, becoming a novelist was very you know the roadblocks appeared insurmountable, and I didn't know. I wasn't even informed. So moving to Chennai kind of changed that. Like so in around early 90s we moved to Chennai. Now suddenly you're in a it did two things to me. Um, I started speaking English because people don't get it. I could write because I was writing novellas, but I couldn't speak because that's is a different thing. Conversations is not what you write. Um, it used to be my dream that I used to fantasize about speaking, conversing with someone fluently and flawlessly in English. Realizing that like there are millions that do that, and it's not a special skill or it's just another language. None of it registered, but for us, and that too, as someone who studied in English medium, I was woefully bad at conversing in spoken English. So Chennai changed that. When I went to Chennai, big city, and I was walking down. I remember this. I'll never forget. I was walking down Pondi Bazaar, and there was this guy and his friend, maybe college kids. They were walking. I was like 16 or 17, and I said, I wanted to go to the Archie's, the card store, greeting card store, and I'm like, Archie's, where? And he said he machine gunned. He's like, go around, take left. And he was like machine gunning it, and then he looked at me and said, "Where are you put up?" I'm like, huh? What? Why will it be put up? I didn't know what it meant because it's slang. It's not something that you would find in a book that you read. I said, and he laughed. He slapped my back and said, "Where do you stay? Where do you live?" I said, "Oh, where you put up means." So I was that. From there, uh, I mean, we'll again come back to Chittor, but from there, I wanted to be a copywriter. I wanted to get into advertising because for me, somebody had gifted me this book by Claude Hopkins called Scientific Advertising. And Claude Hopkins is supposed to be like the god of advertising, like who invented the OG coupon as a way of measuring how effective your campaigns are. And then, of course, David Ogilvy. When I read those, I said, "Oh my God, I want to change the world, and now I'm going to change the world of advertising." But nobody cared. I used to I used to send applications, not your regular resumes. I used to send. I used to buy these coconut oil for 1 rupee, that small bottle, and I used to sellotape it to a A4 sheet. Put my pager number. Back in the day, we had beepers. My pager number, and say, "I got this. Contact me if you're looking for people like me." And then, like, some really pissed off art directors would call and say, What do you think?" And I'm like, "No, what is this bottle?" I'm like, "I have midnight oil."
Wow.
So I used to do that, and I didn't realize it. I just realized now lately that I was always trying to not do the resume, name, age, sex, whatever. It bored me. But now it makes sense. Yeah. So I couldn't get into advertising because back in the day, in the heydays of advertising and ad Abbey Awards and all that, where TV agencies were still more powerful, not like now. The CDs, the creative directors were like gods, and who used to smoke in their offices, and there'll be a Yamaha guitar standing. And I remember going to HTA, and I got uh, a, a CD gave me a sermon about how ideas are important. And I was a kid. I said, sir, I will work for free. I just want to learn. I don't want to. But I couldn't even get that. See, I was told that agencies have a certain standards, dada, whatever. Fun fact: I wrote a resume for another guy. He got a job in Lintas as an account executive, but I couldn't get as a writer. So I ended up becoming a salesman. Another, again, great move. And not like it was a calculated move, but in hindsight, that's the best thing I did because it was my MBA, it was my everything. You have to talk in English, number one. And those 2 years, and a girl from Bangalore had joined in Chennai. I used to work for Tata Press Yellow Pages as a sales guy. This girl who continues to be one of my best friends, Sudha, she lives in Canada now. She's like, I used to say, if I say like Nevada, I said, Suman, it's not Nevada, it's Nevada. It's It's W, V. I don't know. And I said, everybody used to make fun of her. And I said, hey, you know what? Correct me. Whenever I make a mistake, correct me. Suman, it's not rendezvous, it's rendezvous. And I'm like, all right. So while I was on the field talking to customers in English and making deals happen, and slowly, and Sudha is responsible for exposing me to the Hollywood that I didn't know. The Hollywood films, I mean. So she used to know someone in Warner Brothers in Chennai, distributors, someone, and they used to arrange these private screenings. So I've seen like some of the greatest movies, like As Good as It Gets. What is that movie about lions? Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer. Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan. So their respective boyfriend, girlfriend, they dump, and these two are trying to sabotage their relationship. They get together. Oh my God, how can I forget the name? Anyway, like You've Got Mail,
The Ghost in the Darkness.
Ghost in the Darkness, yeah, and I loved the film. Ghost in the Darkness, all these rom-coms. So I was like, now this unwittingly, I'm exposing myself to storytelling. I'm exposing myself to, because those guys are, they have nailed the structure, like they have nailed the 3-act structure. So my wife Chitra and Sudha are responsible for my reading habits. So, and I used to read like a madman. For example, my mom would send me, Suman, go buy coffee powder and come. So I'll go to this neighborhood grocery store, and there'll be a coffee powder machine, and they'll wrap it in some paper and tie it with twine and give it to me. And there were no like plastic, whatever. It's still paper and twine. Twine. Anyway, so I'll come home. My mom had this habit of uh, instead of opening it, like disentangling the twine, she used to cut the sharp end of the cone, so it's easy to pour. But then that will mess with what I want. So I'll say, no, wait. And so I used to open the paper carefully, transfer the coffee powder or sugar, whatever it is, so that I could go to the backyard, sit there, and read what it could be page number 176 of a novel. So I used to reconstruct what would have happened until now and also what would happen later in a way that is probably, like, I'm pretty fast with stories. If you tell me, if let's say a conflicting situation, stories are, but like Stephen King said, ordinary characters thrown into extraordinary circumstances. So for me, that everybody knows this. For me, that's like if you give me a premise, I can like immediately it just idea starts coming out. It's probably because I worked that muscle over the years. So anyway, so in Chennai is where I the first milestone that I hit was, finally I can speak in English. So and later when I saw that, they were making movies like English medium with Irfan, and I realized, oh, this is a thing. It's not like it was not personal to me. Like, a lot of people have this, and how people make fun of their accent. I still have a very Tamilian accent. Like even my Chitra, my wife still makes fun of me. Suman, it's not airport, it's airport. I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal. Yeah, in a in a society that's enamored by the white man, well, that is to be expected, right?
One of the things I've kind of learned in life is that if someone is mispronouncing a word, I actually admire that person more, because it means that that person has read the word, which means they've put in the work, but they
Yeah,
haven't had the good fortune of being among people who, say it the way it's supposed to be said. And it shows that that person has agency, that they worked hard to know that word and it
yeah,
didn't just come to them.
yeah.
So if they mispronounce a word, I'll actually respect them more. While, when I was younger, it would probably have been the opposite. Like, I sort of came at that same situation from the opposite direction. Like when I was young, and I look back and I regret this a lot now when I look back on myself, is that I was brought up in an English speaking household, and my upbringing was too westernized. I only
Uh,
read in English. I only watched foreign films and English films and all of that. And for a while, well into my 20s, I actually looked down on local stuff. So from the opposite direction, I had that same hierarchy in my head that English is superior, everything else is kind of lower. And I see you coming at it from a separate direction, but still feeling that insecurity because that hierarchy is there. That, oh, English is the thing to
yeah, yeah,
aspire to, and all of that. And one of the things that I now feel regretful at having missed out on is that all of my foundational education is only in English.
yeah.
Whereas in your case, it is in all the other languages. You've spoken elsewhere about how you grew up reading Pulp Fiction from Tamil and Telugu, and then you got to English, the Alistair MacLeans and all that. Then you get to Hollywood cinema, and I am just thinking that this is a massive feature. The fact that you're doing this, that it immediately gives you a head start as a storyteller in
Yeah,
India over someone who just had the English education.
yeah, absolutely.
So, what is your kind of sense of this? Like, how important was this for you to become the kind of storyteller you are? Because you're not just constrained by all the stories that have been told in English, but you're also looking at Tamil and Telugu and all of those flavors.
I think, right, yesterday I was reading a Mint piece where they were talking about how the most unexpected demographic, which is the small town villages, like I heard that ChatGPT is doing brand work, collaboration work with someone in a remote village in Bengal. And this woman who's married and she lives in a small village, I'll just get her name in a bit.
I think the piece was by a friend of mine. Shefali Bhatt wrote this
Shefali
piece on
Ba.
Small Town
Yes,
Instagram.
yes, yes,
She's been on the
Shefali.
show as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I yesterday when I saw that, I was super happy that somebody finally, brought it out. So Life of Pooja on Instagram, and she does two things. One is she talks about her life, about how about her married life and she talks about her personal stuff, which is already insightful. Like, and she's very, very sharp and insightful. And then she does movie recommendations. I was mind blown by her saying, "Oh my god." She won't just say go watch this Korean film. She will tell you why you should watch it. And I haven't seen the best of film critics like approach a recommendation or a review like that. And my mind was blown. I said, I always say this, even I keep telling Rajan DK as well, or all my filmmaking friends, the gold is at the hinterland. It's the small towns. India is small towns. So uh, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore your roots. Like Anurag Kashyap in Gangs of Wasipur thanked 3 or 4 Tamil directors because he went and watched and he realized hey, wait a minute, man, because there, Tamil and Malayalam cinema is very rooted. They they say this is our story, this is our land, these are our stories, and they're very proud of it. I love it. I love them. I love Tamil and Malayalam filmmakers for that. Whereas it's not like Kannada and Telugu are not rooted. They're also rooted, but these guys like they double down. They're like they make it their signature. If you know what I mean. See, so when you think that, oh, writing is, writing like a Stephen King, or writing is what they taught you in your BA honors English class, literature class. At one point, in it, some point, at least to me, I ask myself, do you want to become the greatest exponent of the English language, or you want to become a storyteller? Yeah, you need the tools. You need English. You need. Then I realized I'm going to make it my own. You can make it your own. You can't make it your own when there is no own. If all that you are, presented with, or all that you possess is nothing but English literature skills, it'll only get so far. Maybe yeah, you might win a prestigious international prize for a story about, two Bengali who are visiting India after born and brought up in America or UK, whatever. I'm just making up a story. I hope there is no real story like this. But anyway, then yeah, my point is I'm gonna be in the sense, I'm not gonna mince words here. I hope you don't mind. Is I don't want to please the white man. I'm done. In the sense that I don't are in the sense the flavor that we bring, like whether a guy who was born in small town, born in Tamil Nadu, grew up in small town Andhra, spent more than 20 years in Bangalore. We are talking a lot of culture, a lot of pop culture at the very least. You don't have so many strings on your storytelling violin. I do. Now nobody gets to tell me, or anyone for that matter, or any of these creators who have found their voice, put it out there, and and they have become, finally, we luckily for us, we found them. I think the death of vernacular literature, popular vernacular literature. I'm not talking about classical literature. Like Tamil and Telugu, they used to publish something called as the pocket novel. Basically, it would, small, it will fit into your pocket, which you can carry and read it on your train ride home. It's no more. There used to be comics in Tamil. No more. I attribute that directly to this thing that, English, English, English. Sure, English is required for you to survive in this world. I mean, when you go to anywhere in the world you go, I'm sure English will save you. But the price for that cannot be, your roots. I don't know what you were asking me, but I went on a rant.
No, this is very stimulating. I have a couple of questions carrying on from there. But first, what you said about all the language skills in the world not mattering. This reminds me of this great quote by William Maxwell, who was an editor at the New Yorker. And at one point towards the end of his career, he said, quote, "After 40 years, what I came to care about most was not style, but the breath of life."
Yes.
And the breath of life, I would, earlier I used to think of it as creativity, energy, whatever, but it's also authenticity, that the life around you. If you're not capturing that, then what is sort of the point? I'll ask you a sort of a larger question I've examined with previous guests before, because of what you just said about the Tamil pocket novels dying because of English, for example, that there are two sort of simultaneous and opposite forces that I've seen in the world, and for a long time I would focus on just one of them, and that was a homogenizing influence on cultures. Whereas actually India has hundreds of languages. Some of them unfortunately are called dialects, because people say a language is a dialect with an army.
Yeah.
And then when cities form, there's a homogenizing influence where people who can speak say Maithili, Bhojpuri, Haryanvi will go to a city and it'll all get subsumed by Hindi, and that'll be the homogenizing influence. And on a larger scale, even the Hindi and the Bengali subcultures will get subsumed by English, because that's what it is cool to know. So that is one force. And both you and I would agree that a lot is lost
Yeah.
when that happens. But there's another force that's enabled by technology. Like a few years back, I did an episode of the show with Vinay Singhal, who runs a site called Stage.in, and they call themselves Netflix for Bharat.
Mm.
And by Bharat, he doesn't mean the Indian languages like Hindi, Bengali. He means the dialect, so to say. So
Mm.
Haryanvi, Bhojpuri, and all that. And it's been wildly successful.
Oh,
In
fantastic.
fact, he speaks of a reverse migration to Haryana, where people who had gone from Haryana to Bombay to make Bollywood films or to try to make it in Bollywood have gone back to Haryana and are making content in Haryanvi. And he actually gets messages from people who say ki, I've always been ashamed of my Haryanvi since I came to Delhi, but now for the first time in my life I feel proud again. So
Mm.
it is almost as if there is this move in
Awesome.
the other direction. And I saw a similar thing happening like 7-8 years ago, when in that brief period before TikTok was banned, where some of the content that was coming out there was absolutely mind blowing, because it was content coming out from the hinterland,
Correct.
from villages and small towns, and it had no reference point to Bollywood or to mainstream media anywhere. It was almost like kind of sui generis, and it was. Like I've often felt that people in Bollywood are very disconnected from real India. Either you have old school producers who don't know the modern world,
Yeah.
or you have their kids who are educated in Harvard, Stanford, and come back and they have their own ideas. But that's not really the real India. How does the real India get a voice? So, what is your sense of these these different directions? Do you find hope that are more people taking pride in their languages and asserting themselves? Will the Tamil pocket novel ever come back?
I'm hoping it would. Uh, no, reading as because of our like really uh, shortening, really short attention spans. Though I don't believe that because I know you just told me that some of your episodes are like 12 hours long. So I don't know. Uh, so I think this um, for reading as a habit, which and it became a casualty because of how the internet just took and you and I have seen it from the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s to now, how it has completely changed our lives and how so many products that we used to use, like the alarm clock and iPod even, have become something as recent as iPod has become obsolete now, thanks to your phone. So I don't know how much of this evolution has in life cycle, in consumer products, in everything, in this evolution, how it has affected the reading, because hardcore readers, they still like you. I mean, so it warms my heart to see so many books around me, right? We are that, like Chitra and I also, we have a we love buying bookshelves, but I think we are the uh, flamboyant aberrations. But you have how do you get the reading back? Is the pocket novel coming back? It should, but not in the Deadwood format. I think the Deadwood this that's it. I think I hope I'm wrong, but I think I would give it another maybe 20-30 years.
Is pride in your vernacular language coming back? Like, for example, if you were a boy
Yes.
today, would you be so insecure?
About pride in my language coming back. See, my daughter, this is the price you pay for living in a so called big city. My daughter, when we moved back from Calcutta, she could speak Bengali. She was in a play school then, she could speak Bengali. And after she finished her DM, Chitra finished her DM in endocrinology, we moved back around 2015. And we rented an apartment, and which Chitra paid for. I was broke. So um my daughter was like hanging out with people, and she used to speak in Tamil, and immediately she was made fun of. So it became such a complex that even to this day, she's 15 now. She doesn't speak. She understands perfectly. She doesn't speak a word in Tamil, and I can't blame her for it because it's something that's outside of our control. It's like, oh, you speak in Tamil, oh, we speak only in English, whatever. I'm guessing this is what would have happened. And a child, that leaves a very, very strong imprint on a child's, brain. The pride is something that we discover as we evolve, as we realize, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. The, there is, like, I started reading Tamil literature
Oh, wow.
very late. By the way, my mother decided that my elder brother, we're three, my elder brother will study Hindi, I will study Telugu because I grew up in Andhra, me and my younger brother. And my younger brother will learn Tamil. So three different languages. Uh, so though I was studying Telugu in school, I taught myself Tamil because I believe that I have a good aptitude for like picking up languages. Uh, so I picked up Tamil. Also, it's my mother tongue. So I picked up by reading these headlines, struggling, and slowly comic books. And people don't know comic books help you in conversations. Like one of the greatest tools to learn any language, especially spoken English, is because my love for comics. Because there is no description, there is no what. It's visual plus people talking, right? In those. So I'm self-taught. So I started. Then I used to read Pulp Fiction because uh, and when I met Kingsley. Kingsley is a well-read guy. Now Kingsley suddenly said he introduced me to this writer called Kira. Kira, I still have Kingsley's book called Goballapurattu Makkal, which means the people of Goballapuram. And I started reading it. I realized, oh my god, these guys are geniuses. Similarly, in Telugu, I was already reading Pulp Fiction by this greatest ever called Madhubabu. Nobody knows him outside of Andhra. This guy created a spy character called Shadow. And he started writing a series of books. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Madhubabu used to work for the postal department.
Wow.
And he used to write it on the side. Became a legend. Uh, So much so that there are others who came and started copying him, saying, my hero's name is Double Shadow. Shadow. Like this. So he's from that to, like, you have Endamuri Veerendranath, again a legendary writer. A lot of films. I mean, a lot of his books have been adapted to films. Great storyteller. And then you have there was someone who was funnier than Woodhouse in Telugu, a writer called Eram Sittisai. Hilarious. This absurd, uh, you know, it's absurd fantasy humor, which Woodhouse does, but this guy like really pushes the limit. So I've been lucky to have been exposed to. I don't know how many people will be lucky to be exposed like that. I think I lucked out because I am exposed to pop culture in Tamil and Telugu. I have listened to Ilayaraja, the great composer, in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and of course a little bit in Hindi as well. So I've been in a very, though my childhood, while growing up, I used to curse. Why am I here? I need to go to the big city. Without realizing that these were my this actually it's actually a boon. And so I don't know how many people will get that opportunity like this. One, two is the one thing happened, which is a publication called Blaft. You know Blaft. Tamil Pulp Fiction, they translated to English, which is a great thing, but I don't know how far it penetrated the public consciousness. But I hope against hope that this vernacular books make a comeback, where it means what it means is reading as a form of entertainment comes back in vogue. I doubt it if it will happen, unless, like we were discussing, the sachaying of consumer products, like how bottle became a sachet, and it just it reached the bottom of pyramid, so to speak. If that happens, yeah. And also, one is the this evolution that I'm hoping to happen. Number two, I think, is accessibility. When I say accessibility, I mean, imagine you read a paragraph of I don't know, Dostoevsky, and you don't know, like, nothing what he said you don't understand, but you have to pretend that you understood that profound line. Because unlike, I mean, it's not Dostoevsky's problem because it was translated to English by someone else. Like he wrote in Russian, right? So this something that's complex and not easily understandable is good was a theory that has to go, which is what, like, imagine describing this foggy winter mornings, you know, in the English countryside for like 20 pages versus Raymond Chandler saying they found her body at 8 p.m. by the river. You're like, what, whose body? You're already in the story, right? So storytelling has to come back. Not, I mean, while I'm not comparing, or I'm not saying this is better, I'm just saying that the average Joe on the street does not care about the literary merit of your prose. He or she is looking for a story. So how tells and stories are important. Stories are not going to die. They will find one way or the other to come. Like, for example, there are some fantastic storytellers on Insta with their reels, and they are supremely talented editors. And then they use these sound effects. Sound is central to audiovisual storytelling. They use like sound cues which they have found on the internet. I'm sure you have seen you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Like, I can actually do this. It's like one guy will come and say something cocky, and he will be taught a lesson. Karma is a bitch types. That will happen,
Mm.
right? So this guy comes and says something cocky. This is a template, and then the sound effect is wanga wanga. And you're already laughing. And these guys in I think Bangladesh, or I don't know where they are. These guys are do pranks, like prank reels again. One guy is trying to do he'll go on, let's say, tie up his shoelaces, or yeah, he will take his hand and put his hand inside the teacup which is this guy is holding, and then he'll slap this guy. I don't know, I shouldn't explain these things, but you know what I'm saying. So suddenly you have sound effects like piche dekho, piche to dekho. This I don't know. I because I watch now. See, that's what I'm saying. They're telling stories using all these tools that they have acquired. They are making it their own. So storytelling is not going to die. Stories will find a way to come back into our lives one way or the other. Whether it is they literally call it a story on Instagram. I'm just saying. So they will find, whether it's through film, through short format, long format, whatever it is, visual media or not, podcasts. Like it, I'm really glad that when you said some of your, I'm repeating myself, 12-hour episodes, 8-hour episodes, it's a great thing. So storytelling is not going to go anywhere, but will the uh, pocket novel format come back? Will vernacular literature, popular literature, will it make a comeback? I don't know, because even Endamuri Virendra, towards the end of his, I'm not saying end, but he stopped writing fiction, started focusing on self-help books, which is, I mean, sorry, sir, but it's boring to me.
So let's double down on storytelling. You've mentioned elsewhere that from the time that you were a kid and you would be sent out of class because your shoes were flapping, you would love telling stories to the people around you, etc., etc. So the breath of life is there. You've also written this novella in horizontal on an unruled book catering to the format of 192 pages. How was it that over time you began to move beyond the joy of storytelling itself and actually think about formats and structures, like actually think about the mechanics of it? Like you pointed out that all of the Hollywood films that your friend introduced you to, all of them had nailed the 3 act structure and all of that. And I guess a lot of what we learn about writing and storytelling is through osmosis. You read a lot, you watch a lot,
Absolutely.
automatically those structures come in, automatically you start telling a story with a beginning, a middle and an end. But when did you start taking it seriously? When did you start thinking of yourself as primarily a storyteller, not someone who is, you did a BCom and then you became you were in sales and you lived the corporate life. So not someone who is in any of these different fields that you were in, but that I'm a storyteller, period. Was that always to you a part of your identity, or over time did you come upon it?
I never really did all this consciously. By consciously, I mean I know I made a decision. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and then no, because I I'm a flop when it comes to academics. Like my dad famously said, he came back home. Somebody from his friend in Hyderabad called and said the results are out. 12th standard results are out, and he said you got 47.2%. Which is pass. 35 was pass back in the day. 47 is like, and then he looked at me and said, and I had to pretend that I was sad. Inside, Diwali was happening. Okay, I'm like, yes, pass. Thank you, Lord. And my dad was like, that 47.2% more than what I expected.
Wow, that's brutal, man.
Because he wanted me to become an engineer. I can understand, like, imagine it's 1990. Everybody was becoming, engineers or doctors. These are the only two viable career options, all that. So they were under tremendous pressure. My elder brother is an engineer. He went into IT like when the term IT didn't exist. So I finished somehow struggled, finished my BCom, moved to Chennai, and at some point they said, listen, you have to get a job. You can't just sit saying I'll only do this copywriter's job. So like I said, for close to 3 years I was a salesman selling a product that didn't exist, like advertising space in Yellow Pages. But after that, I landed a job as a copywriter / account executive in a small agency in Chennai. So we had this few major clients, and I used to. My first headline was 50% off. It was a 5 by 10 ad in the newspaper. They said, Suman, you get to write copy for this. What is it? 50% off. There's no place for anything else. The brand name, address, done. You're so around that time, on a whim, because I finally had access to my elder brother's discarded Windows 3.1 laptop. Okay. Where you have to type win at the command prompt for the GUI to boot up, right? And there used to be a lot of computers in my house because my brother's friend at that time was into this business. He was installing, he was a service engineer types. So we had a lot of these PCs. All of them had, most of them had Windows 3.1. My brother and his friends, younger brother and his friends will play like, Prince, all these games, like this legendary Wolfenstein, all these games. I got the laptop and I started writing. I don't know how it started. I started writing about, largely inspired by my heartbreak, my first love story rather. Largely inspired by it, but as I started writing about Chittor, and I started writing about what is the word for it? I don't want to use big words, but yeah, for the simple, bucolic, bountiful nature around you, I miss that in Chennai. Go take a dip in the irrigation well and run before the farmer comes, because sometimes he'll put the motor on and electric shock and people have died. So he doesn't want kids to swim in his irrigation well. Any farmer, go steal mangoes from the mango orchard. This is the life that I had. This is how I grew up. So for me, that was this nostalgia propelled me to write a largely autobiographical thing, which Chitra called absolute shit. So, but the fact is that my creative director in the agency and my art director, they were like super saying, very good. The toughest part of writing a book is writing a book. You have done it. And I had this, and I realized that, I'm not, it was easier to write, on a, and I don't even know typewriting. So it was easy to write on a laptop or a computer versus, and suddenly, like, I had to finish the book, and I finished the book. I hope it never comes out. I hope nobody ever reads it. The language was, everybody said, it's fine. Don't worry. We'll edit it. We'll take care of it. We'll make it better. You get the story out first. So that was my first, it was called Sanu. Of- For, I don't know. And largely about how this hero, this girl lets him down, usual, crap. And I had the courage to send it to Penguin in 1996. And Penguin came back they actually responded. I sent a printed manuscript. This responded saying, sorry, but this is not something that we would want to do, but thank you for sending it to us. And I thought my world is over. Like, my writing dream is over. Because I didn't know better. And I'm used to think, like, this world does not, respect artists. Without realizing that I was shit. And then, like, uh, what really got me going was my blog. In 2002, that I have to credit the one and only Kriba Shankar. We used to make fun of him back in the day, saying Kriba invented the internet. So Kriba is the one who, Kriba came and he starts his blog, kriba.com. My God, you have your own domain name. Oh my God. And he said, you start blogging. And he said, Macha, you have very interesting ideas, go for it. So I started blogging because I had a very bad experience with, when I say bad experience, what I mean is, why am I not getting it right the first time? Because I didn't realize that writing is really rewriting. So on a blog, I used to, when I started out, Madhu used to point out, mistake, mistake, the spelling is wrong. He used to come and tell me in a good way, not in a, no, assholey way, but he used to tell me. And then I realized that I said, what do you want to do? I'm going to tell a story about how I learned swimming from an irrigation well, and I'm going to get it right the first time. Never could, never did, never could. I don't think I ever will. It's not possible. It always evolves, right? It always. So for me, the whole blogging, I used to write series. The perfect love letter. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 5, I don't know. I used to write, and I used to put these stories on. Slowly, people started commenting saying, I can't wait to read your book. I said, what? Really? My English is bad. Everybody shits on it. Everybody. Uh, uh, and I was not confident. And somebody told me, it's not your language. We want your stories. Then, even then, I didn't have the courage to, like, start writing. So then I got sucked into the, IT rabbit hole. And before 2001, 2002, I went to America. Imagine a BCom. My dad is like, what? BComs are allowed in America or what? Like, and I'm like, dude, have some faith. So, and now for me, it was like, everybody said I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Now see, I am working for software. I was a technical writer, then content, then technical writer, and then I went into design of things, etc. But so now I'm a technical writer. I'm like, I'm making like, oh my God, can you believe it? 30,000 per month. Unbelievable, right? So the writing, but the blogging was because I was working in Indore. Imagine going a South Indian who has never been north of Mumbai. That too, I was in 5th standard. I came to Mumbai once. After that, I never went to Mumbai. Now, think about this. Can't speak a word of Hindi. Has never been to the north of Vindhyas, as I call it. Straight one day, uprooted from Chennai. Boom. One really cold November night. I'm in Indore. It was 8 degrees. I was wearing shorts. I didn't know better. And I was like shaking. It was too cold. 8 degrees, something a Chennai guy will never experience in their lives. I know it for a fact. Because there 20 degrees and we pull our monkey caps out. You know it already. So, and Indore, and now again away from home. away from the. I'm by myself. Blogging continued, and because of that, I don't know. I think it has. A, I'm sure the cumulative effect was that my language became uh, cohesive, and I realized, it's not just language. You should use sound. You can't use sound in a book. So you're crafting an experience by telling this story to your audience. But all of this, again, in retrospect, I was just doing stuff. Then I came back, moved back. 2004, I moved back to Bangalore. And 2, 3 years later, like they published two of my short stories. One of them was about working in the Gulf. So how my grandmother had like 10 issues. My grandfather, the great Srinivasachari, he co-authored the Advanced History of India along with Nilakanta Shastri. I think I inherited his genes. Okay. When he was not writing, he was making babies, I guess. So 10 of them. And they were like 5 uncles, and she wanted to send at least one of them to foreign. Because our neighbor had sent her eldest son, Mariappan, to Dubai. So this is the story. I and I was discovering, not inventing. I was discovering new phrases, new words like the tenement. I'm just saying construction. Like, my grandma used to live in a tenement where 5 houses. By houses, I mean one room, a portion of it is a kitchen, and there is a common toilet and whatever. 5 houses this side, 5 houses that side. The house owner lived on top in the terrace slash whatever house. The neighbor, so it's a tenement. So I wrote this line, and I remember this very clearly. I wrote this: the tenement. Mariappan has come back from Dubai. The tenement went into a tizzy of excitement. I wrote it, and I said, "Wait a minute, that's not you." I mean, this has never been you. It's not you. It has a certain cadence to it. It has a certain. It's a nice way of saying it. And then I sent it to them, and the guys who published it, they did a small event where they released some 10 or 15 stories is a collection, and they chose my story to read. Like they selected one or two stories, and one this was mine. And when he was reading, the guy, he stopped in the middle and he said, "Who is this? Is Suman Kumar here?" I said, "Yeah." And he looked at me and said, "This is wonderful. This is like it's stirring up images. Like I can, I like I'm in the middle of it. And that happened. And but it took me until I realized someone told me long back. His name is Sham Trinath. Okay, he told me something. He told me in 2001 when I was working in software. He told me that I bumped into him through another friend, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, you have a flair for storytelling. I think you should get into movies." I said, "Yeah," but he said, "For that you have to quit your job and do it, full time." And I said, "No, I'll work Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I'll." Then he looked at me, he smiled and he said, "Suman, I'll only say this and nothing more. There is nothing like half a fuck." I know it's profane, but it's profound as well. I was like, I didn't understand what he said immediately because I was a dumb shit. So I can cuss, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, please.
I didn't understand what he said, but it made sense when I later on when I quit my corporate job. I said and Kingsley's put it beautifully. And I said, "Macha, I'm writing the book finally." We were having a conversation about having finished my manuscript of Ranga Half Pants. And Kingsley told me these golden words. He said, "The paycheck is the worst addiction to humankind. You're so used to every 31st or end of month money just jumping in, and that's how they keep you enslaved." I mean, we went a little commie there, but so it was not one thing, but it was many factors which kind of made me overcome my own insecurities. I realized that, hey, what I am telling from what I have seen from Chittoor, or where I grew up, or Chennai, where I spent a significant number of years there. Uh, Anand Ramchandran, right?
Of course. Amazing guy.
Uh, so Anand and Abhita read. I wrote this thing called Chennai Stories, like a recollection of my. I was one of the lucky few who used to go to Chennai for summer holidays. From Chittoor, my mom used to pack and say, "Go help Amama." We used to go to Chennai, water scarcity. We used to take a tricycle, go 2 kilometers, get water, come back, because my grandmother was a maniac. She was a psycho. She's like, all my pails, all my containers should be with water. For her, water was gold. And she had that thing. I think I understand it. Why she felt that way. But anyway, so all these experiences I used to write about this guy, watch repair guy, and how he became a drug addict, and how I described long back, way before CSK, I described Chennai as a pungent yellow. And I also say, I don't know if it's the, like this aroma of this exotic sambar, the turmeric in it, I don't know, but I've always seen Chennai as yellow. So all this, I realized that this is good stuff. Like I said, when you ask me what is the one thing that my 15-year-old self would be pleasantly surprised by, it's that confidence. So for that confidence, I had to, like, even Indore helped. Imagine going, uh, and in Indore they don't speak Mumbai Hindi, or they speak Suddh Shresth Hindi, and they even address kids as "Hey Balak." I'm like, what? Yeah, and then I learned Hindi, by the way. I mean, finally, very bad Hindi. I speak badly, very poorly, but I understand everything now. That's how Indore helped. And all of these travels, and I think every storyteller should travel far and wide, uh, meet all kinds of people. When I say all kinds of different people, like I've spent time in Nagaland, I've spent time in Assam. All of that is going to come back and loop back into your stories at some point. So yeah, so and that's it. That's it. It's not like now I'm like, haha, I'm the king of the world. No, I still suffer from this crippling insecurity, and what do they call it? The imposter syndrome. I don't know what that is, but I think it's that, where you think you don't deserve what you're being rewarded with, or maybe I'm a fake. Maybe those things do happen. But yeah,
So, something you said earlier um, reminded me of one of my favorite episodes of the show, which I'd done with the economist Soumya Dhanraj. And unlike other economists that you'll see, she came from a very humble background. Her parents were factory workers and so on. And at one point, she spoke about how when she went to college, she hadn't read a book. She hadn't read a book in her life outside of syllabus when she went to college, and therefore she was asking the most fundamental basic of questions like what is a stock market, right? And I thought that this is actually a feature, not a bug, because somebody who considers themselves well read, who's like, I've been educated, will never ask those basic questions. They will just take all of it for granted and they will skim on the surface of things. But she's asking all the fundamental questions, all the why is this like this, why is that like that, and I think that can be a great feature. And similarly, you mentioned earlier that when you started off as a salesman, you asked your friend Sudha to actually correct your English wherever you got something wrong, correct this, correct that. You would not be afraid of asking the fundamental questions. And if I'm thinking of the story that you've told me of your life so far, two of the things that I see in it, which are common threads, is one is there is that curiosity that you're always asking why. You're not afraid to ask why.
absolutely.
You're not thinking, ki, what will people think of me? I don't know this. You're just asking why because that's just who you are. And the other is that you are an actual doer. That you're doing things. That even obviously when you write that novel, when you have access to that laptop, you don't stop yourself. There's so many people at that age. Even I wanted to write novels, but I didn't actually do it. We paralyze ourselves with fear that, oh, I want to be great, I want to be there, I want to be that. You just sat down and did the damn thing. You just sat down and you started blogging. You just sat down and you wrote your Chennai stories. You just sat down and you wrote your book after that. And again, I wonder how much of this kind of comes, is really a question of the sort of background you had. How much of this is innate to you? Like, like if you had to think about your absolute innate qualities, like what you and the 15-year-old Suman definitely have in common, and that the world has nothing to do with, I'm guessing curiosity and that agency, would they be a part of that? What else would you add in that mix?
I don't want to sound unscientific when I say that it is a quality that you're born with. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I don't have an answer for that. But from as far back as I can remember, I have always loved stories. I used to read scraps of paper. You know that that I don't know if it's curiosity. I don't know if it is hunger. Uh, or it could be a combination of things. But like quite a few people tell me they're like, this is the brief, but how did you like write this scene? To give you an example, I'll give you a real life example of how this plays out. So in Guns and Gulabs, it's a Netflix show that we did. So Rajan DK and I, we wrote small town 90s nostalgia. It's like right up our street, and you know, puppy love, all that. So in that there is this assassin who's supposed to be invincible, who is never failed in his life. He fails for the first time in his life. And Raj was sitting there, and he's like, "Hey, listen, man, Atmaram has to react to his failure, right? He's failed for the first time." And I said, "1 second." I opened it, and I opened my MacBook, and I'm open Final Draft, and I'm writing the scene. This is this. I'm not even thinking. I'm, what do you call it? They call it, no, this vibe coding, flow state, whatever it
Mm,
is. Okay,
yeah.
and I'm writing, and in this story I wrote, it's an Andhra mess which is situated somewhere in the mountains, in the northern mountain town in northern India. There is an Andhra mess, and in that Andhra mess there is a kid that's playing a video game. It makes those noises like ting ting ting. That noise is it's making. He's playing. His father comes and says, "Forever you're playing these stupid games. How many times have I told you?" Like, wait, not you. It's that bitch, his mom, his wife. "I will like teach you a lesson. Wait." And then he comes and he says, "Sir, how is the food?" And our assassin Atmaram notices this, and he says, "What's wrong with it? He'll become smarter if he plays video games, not dumber. He'll become smarter. Dumb are those people who go to school, study, and this. No, I've written this." And he's, yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah, yeah. And then as he's walking away, in Telugu, he says, "Every fucker who comes here gives me advice." And Atmaram, in the meantime, before this guy comes, he's telling them. So it's a funny thing. The hero would have shot. The bullet would have gone through his trousers, and there is a huge gaping hole right under his balls. Okay. But he's not hurt. It just blew the fabric away, right? He's like, he even says in Hindi, like, is it showing? Then he explains his backstory. Not a backstory, not, he's like, my dad used to beat the fuck out of me. Uh, and one day he sent me down a well and made me stay there as punishment. And then what happened? Nothing, I came out and killed him. Okay. This has happened. This, and this guy comes and says whatever. Like, and every guy, every asshole who comes here, like, gives me advice. And then he looks at both of them and says, "Close the shutters." And he walks up to him and says, "What, sir? What happened, sir? The food is not great. What happened?" And he says, in Telugu, he says, like, when you're beating your kid, Like there must be a tingling sensation, no, from your asshole to up your spine. In Telugu, he says. So now look at the scene. Let's look back. It tells who he is, why he's become an assassin. This whole thing of video game. Now I could have told this childhood trauma in a million different ways, but I chose video games because I don't know. I love video games. When I wrote the scene in 5. It took me longer to explain the scene, but I wrote it in 5 minutes. I gave it to him, gave it to Raj. Raj took it and I wrote that final line. When you beat up kids, you feel that tingling, no? That. Only that he added. I don't know how I wrote it in 5 minutes. Now, if you ask me, like, but I think it's not like I'm this magician who, no, it is everything. I have lived in North India. I have lived in Chittor. I love Andhra food. I love video games. Now, you can retroactively analyze this as such, but for it to fall in place that this is the best reaction scene that I could possibly write, I didn't know it. I was convinced that nobody can better this scene. So my thing is, you don't when you feel like it. I always tell people saying, listen to your instincts. When you feel like writing something in a story when you're struggling, and you just write what comes to you. It doesn't matter. You can always delete it or not use it. So I think at the expense of sounding esoteric, I think stories find you. As stupid as it may sound, but I've always found that to be true. Stories will always find a way to, like I said, they will always come out. And the better part of the game, this game, is identifying a good story. Yeah, writing, of course, it's difficult. Skinning it, fleshing it out, all that. But that idea, that premise, that you have to have you have to be a keen observer of the human psyche. You have to be keen observer of everything. You to drink in geopolitics, you drink in many things, right? So I think you are blessed if you can come up with story ideas by connect two seemingly disconnected things. That's the better part of writing. After that, you're taking it, you're like structuring it, and you're trying to figure which structure works better. All that's mechanical, the mechanics of it rather. But is it innate? I don't know. I think you have to be perennially pregnant with stories. You cannot just stay still. There is that restlessness about you that you always want to, which is why I'm punishing myself with feature film. Not just one feature film. I have like 3-4 in active development, where I'm collaborating with other writers as well, and I'm writing a series, I'm writing a book. That's because I want to, like, I jokingly say I want to ruin as many art forms as I humanly can. So but I think it's the question, not an answer, but the response to your thing. Like, when did you figure out that it's innate, that you have it? I think that's what you asked. But I don't know, honestly. Even now, if somebody comes and says, there is character A, there is character B, and he goes and does this, and can you spin a story around it? No. Like, when I went and pitched Ranga Half Pants as an idea, as a book idea, people laughed at me. A kid goes from half pants to full pants. That's the story. I'm like, yeah, isn't it beautiful? They're like, no, you can't write an entire book around it. I said, why are people saying this? And then I did it. In my own way, again, based in Chittur, whatever. And not my great work, but the thing is, I got the book out and I had Jayco publish it. It still has 8 typos. So that was, again, I don't know if it has happened to you, but have you ever, like, you're stuck at a point and you're like, keep coming back. Yeah, you're not like, you're writing a few 500,000 sometimes, and you're like, oh shit, it's not working, man. And then suddenly one morning you get up and you go and you sit and then you write and like, there, I have it.
I think what has happened to me is that, and I'm sure it's happened to you as well. Tell me about it. Is that I would have had an idea maybe 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I would have written it down somewhere, and then I don't know what to do with it. Maybe I'm not good enough to tell that story then. And then suddenly I wake up one day, and this happened to me recently, and I
Oh
feel
yeah,
that yes, I know where this goes now,
yeah,
and I know I can do this now. And, has that been happening to you? Does that happen a lot?
yeah, all the time. Like Ranga Half Pants. The book idea before it got published in 2016, it was at least a 10-year-old idea. I mean, it's funny how. Uh, yeah, I think. I mean, I would love to believe that it's like the universe is saying, no, no, Amit, wait, not yet. And then when the right time comes, you know it. Uh, so I mean, I'm sure you must have realized by now that I'm super excited about. Uh, I love it. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like I want to write more now. Though uh, not in terms of time, but in terms of mind space. Like uh, I can switch from one story to another like that, and I'll be writing. Ah, okay, done. Family Man 3 done. Now let's pick up the other story. And my like colleagues, like in the writers room, they'll be like, how can you switch? And I'm already drilling down. Yeah, here you'll go and you'll do this, but this scene should come later. And they're like, how can you do this? And I stop myself and I ask, saying, is it a thing? They're like, no, yeah. Once you are logged into a story, you can only think about that story. For you to do, you need a palate cleanser. You need time for that, all that. But maybe I'm weird, or maybe I'm X-Men. I don't know.
Oh, maybe you've just lived in that this perennially pregnant state for so long with stories swimming in your head that it's much easier for you to make that transition than for someone who has to get into a storytelling mode who are not perennially pregnant. So,
Yeah, that's a more plausible explanation. And yeah, like people play blindfolded chess. You know it, like, and that too multiple boards, not one. Yeah. That is one thing that, like, in your life you have these goals, like not necessarily uh, tied to money or any reward. Like I want to write a book. I want to become a writer. Filmmaking is an accident, but it's a happy accident. I'm happy. Again telling stories only, so I'm happy. Stand up, and Madhu challenged me by that. Madhu Menon, we went to an open mic in Take 5 Bangalore. We were popping beers, and I said, some open mic was going on. I said, my God, such shit jokes, man. And Madhu Menon looked at me and said, oh, you think you're better than them? You're funnier. I'm like, yeah, of course. 2015, May 18th.
wow, you remember the date.
Yeah. That is something that I thought how one, when I was like fantasizing about freely talking in English. Like I don't want to just talk, hold a I want to crack jokes in English. How, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to fantasize about how I'm this amazing funny guy in English. So this is that, and that's how I became a stand-up comic.
So I was chatting with Madhu yesterday, and he told me the story. He said that you and him were drinking together, and somebody said, "Hey, why don't you guys try it?" So both you and him apparently
Oh,
tried to
sorry.
do it.
Correct. You're right. It's
Yeah.
not Madhu. Another friend. He looked at us and both of us, both Madhu and I were like shit, like bitching about how bad the jokes were. You're right. He looked at me and said, "Oh, you guys are funny. Why don't you guys do open mic?" That's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, but what struck me about the story was this. What struck me about the story is both of you tried. Madhu also tried. You also tried, but you stuck with it. You got the job done. Again, it's the same hunger and the bias for action that you actually went through with it. Whereas most of us, like perhaps what happened to Madhu then, and I think he was going through a difficult time, so he
Yeah.
fell off that track. But what has happened to me throughout, is that you have an idea, you want to do something, it sounds great in the moment, but you don't follow through. Maybe you lose
Yeah.
confidence, maybe you give in to the imposter syndrome, or maybe your expectations of yourself are too high, but you just went out there and you Did it?
And the thing is, this is the thing. If there is anything that anybody, whoever is listening, our audience, is that uh, I wanted to learn guitar from when I was 21, 22. Never could. Never had it in me, I thought. And when I became a stay-at-home dad, like I'll go drop my daughter to the play school, come back, cook lunch, and while waiting, I used to open a YouTube video and learn a song. Then I told myself, this is something I learned on YouTube, saying, don't just practice blindly. If you're playing a song, figure out where you're getting stuck. Like, for example, making the transition from, say, an E major to a B7. B7 is a tough chord to hold because it's alternate strings, and then the transition is. Then they said, no, do only that. Just practice E to B7, E to B7. I'm just giving an example. And now I'm not saying I've become a guitarist, but if you give me a guitar, I can plug something, sing a tune or two, no problem. And of course, I want to like shred it like Steve Vai or Jose Triani, but that's for another day. But the thing is, I did this. I learned guitar. Yeah. Now I learned songs like Tears in Heaven, the finger picking. I learned. It took like 5 months of everyday torture to my wife. She's like, oh man, not again. Dong. She's like, stop. Imagine listening to the same dong dong. Dun, dun. I'm like, oh my god. And she's like, stop it. Just try it some other day, not now. But anyway, I learned it. That's the thing. There is no magic to this. I mean, people will say you have to be specially talented. Nothing. If you do something repeatedly, smartly, instead of just beating yourself up, figuring out things like, this is where I'm getting stuck. I'm going to focus more on that, things like that. And imagine a complete, like, someone like me picked up the guitar and I can play the guitar, number one. And writing, forget writing books, that is something that I've, cultivated storytelling as a habit from when I was a kid. Let's not talk about that. The other thing is, we were shooting and there was a piano in the house where we were shooting in Mumbai, I think in Chembur. And I started playing Pehla Nasha, that opening riff, tang, 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 tang. And DK is like, what the fuck, you know how to play piano? I'm like, no. There was a keyboard in my house, so I was just messing with it, and it just caught on. And now I can play chord runs and whatnot. And again, not a pianist, but I can play C, A minor, F, G7. I can do basic stuff. But for normal people, when you do a run, they will be like, the C7 chord on the keyboard has C, E, G, and B flat. Uh, so you do that run like, C, E, G, B plus, C, E, G, B plus, C, E, G, B plus. No, imagine doing that in front of the people. People will go like, oh my God, he's like Bach. I don't know. I just realized this a little late, but doesn't matter. Is that the universe wants to give you, but it's not like it doesn't come on a platter, because it you need that hunger. You need that. Uh, you have to be perennially hungry, and I think music is also storytelling, I guess. Like you ask a question, and blues is again about storytelling. You ask a question, or for that matter, the concept of turnaround. Dun, 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 dun. Like ask a question, conflict, then resolution. It's the same thing with writing. I mean, storytelling as well. So the only dream that I have yet to fulfill is I wanted to become a rated chess player because I love chess.
I mean, I can actually play one blindfold chess game at a time, but not simultaneous. But
How?
part of the reason is I learned as a kid, and I think that if you learn as a kid, no, it's a big advantage because pattern recognition just gets embedded,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and learning as an adult is like really hard. Learning anything new as an adult, for something like chess, it just becomes really difficult. So I'll think aloud based on what you just said, told me, and I think what can also happen is that you can kick a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle into motion by your initial attitude at a point in time. Like, for example, you decide to learn the guitar, and at first it's probably sounding horrible, but you stick with it and you do it. And then you realize that anything I stick with, I can do, and that this becomes a part of who you are. That you just fundamentally know that all I have to do is stick with it and things will work out. Whereas somebody else could take a different approach and they may not stick with it and they may not be able to do it, and that might then make them tell themselves कि मेरे में तो है ही नहीं talent, and they won't try that, and then they'll try something else and not stick with it, and they'll be like, okay, this is not for me either, and that can create a very bad toxic vicious cycle. Whereas this way you create a really great virtuous cycle in motion, where somebody like you therefore is much likelier to learn any new thing, not just guitar or piano or a language, whereas somebody else who unfortunately could have been you, but you start off giving up or you start off with the wrong attitude, and then that has a part dependence. Do you think there's something to that?
I think it has got to do with the two things. One is when you are don't look at the forest. I think when you're starting out, look at the trees. I want to play B7 perfectly. That's it. My life is done. My life ambition as a guitarist is done. If I can change E major to B7 easily, you do that. That's the thing about humans. You are not happy now. You're not saying, finally, I'm nailing the B7, got done. No. Now you want to progress. You want to learn finger picking now. You want to learn soloing. You want to do, learn the blues shuffle. You want to learn. So it goes on. There is no end to this. And then you will see on YouTube one, 2-year-old Japanese kid shredding it, playing Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. You're like, my life is a lie. And then I realized, no, that is not the point. The point is never that. So that is, and when I say reward, what I mean to say is, like, it's like, it happened to me now recently. Like, I've recently started working out. I've never been to a gym in my life. I used to run back in the day. Never used to work out. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to work out. Then I started working out. And my trainer said, your form is good and your biomechanics is like impressive for someone. I'm 50 plus, so he's like, your biomechanics is good. And I'm like, wow, I have biomechanics. So, and then immediately I'm like, I have my biceps improved. And then I really, hey, calm down, dude. That's not how it works. Like, you go for 3 weeks, suddenly you're not going to become like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? It takes time. It takes. So I think you should not think about the reward. However, having said that, I'm going to contradict this. One is saying, you know what? If I continue doing this, my muscle memory will take care of it at some point. Like, for example, I have this problem. Me playing a tricky rhythm, like it's offbeat, like More Than Words by Extreme. It goes direct thing, direct thing. It's not on the rhythm. It's slightly off. So, but you your playing hands should be functioning independent of your vocalizing the song, but you cannot. It's like being dexterous with ambidextrous on the piano. While your left hand is doing something, your right hand is doing something. It appears like magic, but it comes from practice. It comes from teaching your body that, hey, by the way, you can do this. So that takes time. It's going to be a pain in the ass. You're going to hate yourself, all that. I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, but that's how it happened to me. So forget the reward, focus on the trees. You will get to see the forest at some point, no problem. The other thing is, and it has worked for me, I do not have a logical explanation to this. I think you should daydream. You should daydream about how when you have become this. I'll tell you the things that I daydream about these days. Back in the day, I used to daydream about I'm wearing a jacket. I never used to. I used to roam around in like really bad clothes, like torn jeans and t-shirt and bathroom slippers, whatnot. Uh, I used to dream about I'm going to get this award, Sahitya Academy Award, and then I'll make this speech, or I'll be getting this national award. I'll be getting BAFTA. It's just a dream. Why should you see if you're when you're begging? What is stopping you from dreaming about biryani? Why are you dreaming about curd rice? No. So I'm dreaming up, and the thing is, when I went on stage to pick up my first filmfare, uh, I was like, hey, I have thought about this. I have dreamt about this, right? That daydreaming is key. I'll tell you what I'm dreaming now. I'm dreaming of when I'm listening to, like on the cab ride here, I'm listening to songs. And I'm like, when a very guitar centered song comes, and I'm fantasizing about how I'm wowing, enthralling the audience there, and I'm playing this, and they're like, and I play a solo and throw the pick at them and whatnot. I fantasize about that. I daydream a lot. That don't ask me how it happens, why it happens, but life has a funny way of making it happen. When it's like I read somewhere, like if you want to be a butterfly, stop being a caterpillar. I don't know where I read it. That really stuck with me, saying you have to want it badly. Not that superficial wanting. Not that the want has to be inherent. It has to be deep rooted. It should not be that, hey, Amit can play the tabla, so I'll also learn tabla. No, that never works. My God, I talk too much.
What did you wear for the Filmfare Awards?
I think I wore a jacket. Oh, good question though, because there's a story behind that.
Hmm.
So my Chitra's, my wife's sister was getting married, and we went shopping, and there was this place, and I said, that jacket I want." She's like, "You always roam around on t-shirts and jeans. So why? What will you do with a jacket?" And I told her I'll wear it when I win my Filmfare Award. At that time, I had no idea I was going to get into films and nothing.
Wow, which year was this?
This was probably 2008.
Amazing.
Nine.
I think the kids today have a term for it, manifesting.
Manifesting. Yes, yes. I don't know if it's that. And I took it and I forgot about it. And I mean, unfortunately, I didn't wear that jacket, but I did wear some jacket because I was in Mumbai. I was stuck in Mumbai, and it was during lockdown, December of 2020, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to daydream.
No, I ask so many of my guests if they daydream, and I'm surprised when some of them say, "No, I don't daydream. I've never daydreamed in my life." And I'm like, I find that because I have been a perennial daydreamer, like you seem to have been.
Yeah.
And like, are there recurring daydreams? The same damn thing you've had since you were 10? Because in my case, they are, and they're damn embarrassing. But
when I say daydream, what I mean is it's not like I'm stating the obvious. It's not like I'm sleeping in the during the day.
Exactly.
I'm actually fantasizing it.
Correct. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Recurring is always right now. It's guitar, but guitar is one recurring theme. Me being a director was one.
Wow.
I knew that. See, I'm a writer, and the toughest job in the office. The direction is managing people as well. I mean, not just the technical aspect of it, but there is a certain managerial aspect of it which I completely hate, because I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's paycheck, which is why I never became a manager when I was in IT. But still, I said I can do it, and I did a solo project. I went and did a Tamil film called Ragutata. Yeah. So what else? Because I daydream a lot. I daydream about how my book launch will happen, and how all celebrities will be there, and how will become a roaring success, and they'll come and say, please give us the rights to make the film. and I'll say, haha, only for a few. Like I'm exorbitant. I'm charging exorbitant amounts for the rides. I daydream all this.
Yeah, what the amazing thing about your daydreams is half of them have come true and the other half can come true.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
is pretty
yeah.
mind blowing. Nothing that's true out there.
And sometimes I think about, oh, this is a very strange dream, strange daydream fantasy that I have. Is like, say, think New Zealand or Australia or UK. They invite me because I'm a genius talent, and they're like, please come, like here you can take citizenship, whatever it's. You can come and go anytime you want, buy property. We want you to come here and stay here, so that I can roam the world wherever I want to go. Is the this thing? I don't think that's happening anytime soon with the so much noise about immigration. But yeah,
It isn't, but you can roam the world wherever you want to. So, I mean, in a sense, you don't need
except
that
America. I don't
daydream.
want to go to America, but
Yeah.
because I tweeted a lot about that orange-headed buffoon. So
Listen, let me tell you something, dude. You're a damn good storyteller, but in 2015, you could not have made up Trump. You could not have made up what has happened in the 10 years after that.
yeah,
It's wilder than
I know.
fiction.
You could not have made up what. I mean, you saw Trump won.
Yeah.
You could not have, even after that, you could not have made up what he did now.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
Yeah,
surreal.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. So, on that note, let's take a quick commercial break, and after this, we'll
Yes.
continue with your story. Long before I was a podcaster, I was a writer. In fact, chances are that many of you first heard of me because of my blog India Uncut, which was active between 2003 and 2009 and became somewhat popular at the time. I love the freedom the form gave me, and I feel I was shaped by it in many ways. I exercise my writing muscle every day and was forced to think about many different things because I wrote about many different things. Well, that phase in my life ended for various reasons, and now it is time to revive it. Only now I'm doing it through a newsletter. I have started the India Uncut newsletter at indiauncut.substack.com, where I will write regularly about whatever catches my fancy. I'll write about some of the themes I cover in this podcast and about much else. So please do head on over to indiauncut.substack.com and subscribe. It is free. Once you sign up, each new installment that I write will land up in your email inbox. You don't need to go anywhere. So subscribe now for free. The India Uncut newsletter at indiauncut.substack.com. Thank you. Welcome back to The Seen and the Unseen. I'm still chatting with Suman Kumar here. Both of us in different ways, proving that people actually have long attention spans. I mean, people watch many, many hours of a web series when they're binge watching Family Man or any of the other ones you've done. And equally, people listening to many hours of this. Anyone who's listening to this already at this point of the show obviously has enough patience. Let's, continue now with your life from the 2000s. Like you spoke about how you were a corporate slave, but you were perennially pregnant with stories and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So what was this phase like? Because as you said that, as you mentioned during the lunch that we just have, that you were flying to London for weekend meetings, you had an Amex, etc., etc. So, once you live a life like that, it's a great life. Who's going to leave? The perennially pregnant could just stay a weekend activity. But as your friend told you, obviously that you can't, there's no such thing as a half fuck. So tell me about what's going through your head during this period of time and how you eventually arrive at that place where you decide that I'm going to give it up.
So but I told you, right, I was working with this small ad agency. So one of our clients was an IT company and they offered me a job. So for me, it was most exciting because I was going from a job that doesn't, there's not too much of a future in it. And I'm going to this emerging, exciting landscape of IT. So that took a front seat then. And the internet, this every day something new was happening. So I was pretty excited. So 2000, then in 2002, I went to Indore to work for Computer Sciences Corporation, where I was a technical writer. And then they sent me to America. Imagine, first time I'm traveling abroad. So all of this was exciting for me. So And then from there I went to Wipro, from Wipro to Dell. Around that, I was married then. So Dell, I was stuck around for a good 4 years, and then I went to other companies, and finally ended up in ESPN. Uh, as a design. So I thought sports media, cricket is something that I love, and I thought like, how bad can it be? But then I realized it's not. It doesn't matter whether it's sports media or I don't know, quantum, you know, mechanics, whatever. The thing is, it's people. There is bound to be comparison. There is bound to be politics. So for me, that was a tipping point in the sense that uh, when Chitra said, so our daughter was about 18 months old. When she was sitting at home, she had finished MBBS and MD, and she was like writing entrances for this DM, doctorate in medicine thing. And she gets a berth in Calcutta to do DM endocrinology. So at that time, when she said, I am not going to go to Calcutta without you guys. So, and then told me something that like kind of resonated. She's like, I can't watch you every day come home a nervous wreck. Because one of my bosses also told me that, I was found wanting in my communication skills.
See the irony.
I know. So, and I was, I know, I don't know if it is the difference in work cultures, like the people in UK, people in America, like how they operate and how we operate. I used to think it's cultural. Maybe they're not like us. Like we are too, like, let's find a solution. Jugaad, done, fixed. But they have a more structured, staggered approach. So I used to think that, but I don't think it's that. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I was like, whatever I do, these guys are not going to like approve of me or, encourage me in nothing. It doesn't matter how great the idea is. Like, I've given some great ideas. I'm good with products as well, product design as well. So the disillusionment had set in. And when Chitra looked at me and said, I cannot bear to watch you come home a nervous wreck every single evening. So I said, okay. She said, what do you want me to do? And she said, drop your job. You've been threatening to write a book for a long time. Come to Calcutta, take care of the baby, and write your book. So that's how those 3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years was like really trying. But I'm eternally grateful because I watched my kid like say the first word. I'm probably one of the rare men who got to see that, and of course, subsequently I wrote my book. So for me, it was. But having said that, while this was happening, I was picking up very key skills, which will ultimately help me in in storytelling and filmmaking. So technical writing is essentially writing manuals, and they are structured, right? So technical writing taught me structure. The manuals that nobody reads, yeah, they have a structure.
And the screenplays are basically manuals only for making a film.
Exactly. So, or like somebody said, a screenplay is an invitation for other artists to come and perform. I don't remember who said it, but it's not my quote. So, I was into tech writing, and then I got into user experience. So, Madhu, me, we're all like big time into all this, right? The design of things. So, I started reading up, like, I went from, so that journey, especially the design journey, took me, and I started reading Jacob Nielsen, Don Norman, all these the OG gurus of interaction design and user experience. It pushed me to read this book called Phantoms in the Brain by Dr. V.S. Ramachandran. And then I read his other books, and then I read his BBC Right lecture in 2003, if I'm not wrong, about, he talks about many things, like what is art, and how did language, was language designed or did it evolve? What is synesthesia? All this, right? So it was fascinating for me because, and without really like thinking about how am I going to put it to use in my day to day work or like in my storytelling, I was genuinely curious. I was genuinely like digging deeper, and uh, uh like there is this uh, Don Norman calls it the balance between efficiency and aesthetics in design. Um, so they had two ATM machines, same design, but one had more pleasing aesthetics, but the functionality is absolutely same. And when people were asked which ATM do you think is easier to use, they all said the one that had better aesthetics was easier to use. So I realized emotion plays a big role in design, in interaction design, in this. So that was key for me. Uh, like how do you uh, and then I realized at some point, like I started reading about when I started reading about design, the basics of design, the fundamentals of design. When you put dots in a circular fashion and show it to someone and ask, what is it? They're not going to say they are dots arranged in a circular fashion. They're going to call it a circle because they inherently close the gap between the dots, connect the dots, and they say it's a circle, right? Uh, in screenplay, if you open something, you have to close it. Chekhov's gun. You show a gun on the wall at some point in the beginning, it has to fire it. What is the idea, right? So all of this is because we seek closure. I'm like, why are we seeking closure? Why is closure so important to us? Not just in storytelling, in our lives, we need closure, right? Then it's so like this. I've dove deeper and deeper. I have given presentations about this, uh, all this, like and finally came to ESPN. I'm like saying, guys, all this theory I'm giving, but nobody, not just ESPN, anywhere, any software company, their thing is we need to deliver this faster, time to market. They have this very crazy metrics, and I mean, which is why I know Apple stands out because their focus on user experience is like are non-negotiable. I understood one thing: whether you're writing a short story, writing a novel, writing a comic book, or doing a product design, the common denominator in all this is that you are crafting an experience, and the rules of design, the fundamentals of design apply to all these things in a way of speaking. Like in stand-up comedy, there is a something called as the rule of three. Uh, she's hot, she's elegant, she's stately. She's stately, she's elegant, she's hot. That's it. You can't say she's stately, she's elegant, she's hot, she's voluptuous. No, gone. Why? I realized we are kind of, what do you call this? It's like a some morphogenetic code that exists in our DNA. Like how does the baby deer know right after it's born to when it spots a leopard or a tiger to run away? It has never seen a tiger or leopard in its life. So there is
Hardwired.
some gene this is passed on, right? So like that, there are certain things that are coded in us, and there is a point to this, by the way. So and then I'm interested in music. I'm like, why is it that? So in again, music, same things. Ask a question, like the suspended four chord when he goes Trang, 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 closure. It's a thing. It's like, oh my god, but you can manipulate with sound also like that. I mean, it's not closure in in its whatever, but when you're listening to it, when you're going from through a chord progression, and then you arrive at this fourth, and then you resolve to the major. It's major. It sounds great. It sounds like oh wait, it's like you've heard a story. And then I watched this video of Bobby McFerrin on YouTube with neuroscientists, and he goes he says the pentatonic scale is within us, and he goes about he's standing there, he jumps to his left or right, left only. He jumps to left and says he's doing that, and then he goes to the right, which is lower octave, right? He doesn't do anything like the audience is doing it. So I was fascinated saying, how is this a thing? With then I said, wait a minute, it's a when I came to writing, not even Ranga Half Pants, I hadn't thought of all this. When I came to like filmmaking is when I understood, oh, wait a minute. All these things that I have learned in IT, which I thought like, it was a waste of my time. It's not. I've learned so much from technical writing, from user experience, from whatever. So this is my analysis and of it. But when I was living through it, I wasn't such a happy guy.
Yeah, that was such a rich answer. I'll give a couple of quick recommendations for my listeners. One is Don Norman's great book, The Design of Everyday Things. I mean, I'm not really into design per se, but I learned so much about how the world works from that book. And two, the Satyajit Ray film, Aranya Din Ratri, Days and Nights in the Forest. Like this month, I decided what I'm going to do. We are recording this at the end of Jan, or is today Feb 1? Today is Feb 1 indeed. So what I decided at the start of Jan is that this year I'm going to do a lot of book plus movie reading viewings, as it were. So read the book and then go and see the film it's based on. I did that for Train Dreams, and Aranuddin Ratri was released and running in the halls for some reason. So I read Sunil Gangopadhyay's book and then I went and saw the film, which I'd seen 30 years ago but I'd forgotten everything. And reading the book, which is a good book with great ideas but not quite cohesive, because it was like Gangopadhyay's second book only. He was in his 20s, so it's not quite cohesive. And then seeing the film made me appreciate what a master Ray is, because every scene has a reason. Everything, it just fits in so beautifully. It's like product design. It's like in a good machine. Every part is there for a reason and there is nothing else. There is nothing that is superfluous. And that's what the film kind of reminded me of. And just now you said Bobby McFerrin. I realized that you've named a character after him also in Family Man 3. So well done for that. I want to, I'll come back to the filmmaking and I'll come back to the craft. I want to ask a bit about Chitra first, because when I see a biography that she tells you, come to Calcutta, be a stay-at-home dad, be a house husband, you do the writing, I can't see you unhappy anymore. And it seems very obvious from the journey that she's been such a huge part of your life that if you were not with her or if you were with someone else, you would almost be an entirely different person with a different life.
Absolutely.
Right. So, and when I vaguely remember meeting you at this meetup in Bangalore, and she was also there, and both of you just seemed so much in love in such a charming way. I think you were kind of freshly married, a couple of years in. So tell me about that. Tell me about the role that relationship played in your life, how it changed you, and is it true? Are the rumors true that you met her in a Yahoo chat room?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was our Tinder back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if not for her, I would not have taken this so-called bold step of giving up your day job and chasing your dream. Because I'm like, I come from, I know poverty. I told you, like, I when I grew up, like, we had very modest means and basics were like sometimes would be out of reach for us. So for me, when she said just drop it, and I said, how are we going to, like, she's like, don't worry. And her thing was, what is going to happen? You're going to write a book, you're going to fail, nobody buys that book, right? You write your second book, write your third book, who knows, your fourth or fifth book might click and the rest of them will start selling. So that's how it works, right? So I'm like, yeah, sure. But then this addiction to paycheck is a real thing. And so I had burnt all my savings. I mean, I could see literally burning my savings, because her stipend was, when she was doing a DM in Calcutta, her stipend was some 35K or something. Our apartment rent was 16K. So we were literally like 15% of her stipend was going. I was not making money. There was savings, dwindling savings. And I remember I would be broke and suddenly I'll find 1,000 rupees in my jeans pocket. I mean, it's her leaving, because that's the thing, right? Like, again, you're the man. Your ego will be hurt. But I wasn't. I mean, I'm not like that. But that in many ways, in many little ways, she not just pushed me to do, not just that, like that. One of my favorite quotes from the movie As Good as It Gets. As good as it gets, when Helen Hunt asks Jack Nicholson to pay her a compliment in a restaurant, and he says, "You make me want to be a better man." She, just by being herself, uh, makes me want to be a better human being, not just man, but I'm just saying. So that way, and she's my harshest critic. She's like, she read Ranga Halfman and said, "Suman, you are way better than this. You can do way more. You are like, you're playing it safe." She's like, push the boundary. So, so she's my harshest critic, best friend, partner. Yeah. So, like Kingsley, tells me, he'll tell me like, "Macha, Suman, no, both of us lucked out. I don't know why our respective wives married us," which is true. Because, I mean, she is like academic, like we are the exact polar opposite. She academically, she's brilliant. She has some Hajar citations and international, medical journals, blah, paper pub. I mean, you name it. She has given talks all over Europe, whatever. And I'm like, why? So, but one thing is, she knew there is. I used to talk about writing even when we were, dating. And she read that first book which I don't want anybody to read. She read it, and she's like, "This is shit, man. Don't even think about it." Because she was her standards, and she loves reading. She even now she runs a book club, and I asked her, "What do you want for your birthday, which is coming up on 12th of February?" And she said, "I want this in 10 minutes. We'll go to a bookstore in 10 minutes. I will take as many books as you want, but 10 minutes, and you should pay for it." I said, "Cool." So it that much she loves. She's the one who introduced me to Dostoevsky. She said, "You should read Crime and Punishment. You have no idea what you're missing out on." While I was like reading, pulp fiction. Oh, she's the classier one. So yeah, in the sense, we are we complement each other very well, I guess. But of course, I mean, it. We fight a lot. All that is there. That's the usual stuff is there. But yeah, so she's, if not for her, I don't think I would have become a writer. I would probably would have wasted my life away in some godforsaken bar in Bangalore or wherever, and not done any of the things that made you call me for this podcast.
Godforsaken bar in London with an paying
Not
with an
London.
Amex card.
Oh.
So yeah. So no. So tell me, now it's you can romanticize a story that you leave your job, you go to Calcutta, you're doing all of that, because now in hindsight we know that it worked out well, you succeeded. But in that moment, what was it like? Like in that moment, I'm guessing that as your savings are dwindling and you're sitting at home, and plus that male ego thing is very real. Even if you're a rational person and you know that it's nonsense and you shouldn't think like that, instinctively it's very natural to just feel that shit, man, I'm such a loser, and which I have felt at various points in my life earlier as well, and thankfully gone past it. But instinctively, were there times where you doubted yourself, where you thought, what the fuck am I doing? This is a mistake. Am I good enough? That imposter syndrome would really have been at its strongest at that period of time, right? So
Yeah,
what were those years
absolutely.
like?
Absolutely. I mean, my my mental health went for a complete toss, evidently. Uh, and this simmering, bottled up tension. Oh my God, like, oh, shit. And you start, I think subconsciously you start comparing also. Like, uh, she's gonna finish her DM and like roar away into a glorious career as a doctor. Like, what if your book doesn't get published? What if your book is shit? What if nobody likes your book? The many what ifs. That kind of like created a lot of conflict between Chitra and I. Really bad fights. Really, when you look back and see, oh my God, that was silly. But then in that moment, it was as real as it could get. So see, the thing is, I mean, I'm not uh, flexing here, but that's the time I kind of took a dip into alcohol. I started. That's the time when I sought a refuge in it. More. Otherwise, it's a recreational thing. You go out with friends, pop a couple of beers, and come home and sleep. That's about it. Now you're actively seeking out alcohol. Then, yeah, so it doesn't help now. Now, first of all, there is already tension. And second of all, now you are, uh, you know, abusing alcohol, and so on a personal front, it was, and that is just Chitra and me. On the other side, like I could hear like the odd cousin or whoever will say, you know what, your parents think that you made a mistake, da da da, all that. So much so that once we finished the whole thing, I came back to Bangalore and I joined as a consultant uh, with Ramesh Srivats briefly, but I realized my mistake. I said one day, I mean, Ramesh, we're pretty open. They're like, Machan, this is not working out. And this is like, I'm talking 2016, 15, 16. I was also consulting for my friend Raj. Raj. I was consulting for him for a while. The money was there. It's not like I was getting money, but then I realized, and immediately your problem is solved, right? The money comes into picture, and like, oh, done. You don't have to worry about all this. I have gone to producers. Around that time, I had started writing scripts as well. So there was this script that I gave to this Tamil production house. I remember I went to this producer and I literally told him I want like 2 lakhs to pay my daughter's school fees. It's not like I said I want to do it. Of course, Chitra was going to do it anyway. Then I said, no, I want to like at least reduce the load on her. And this producer famously said, Suman, your problem is 2 lakhs, my problem is 20 crores. And drove away in his Audi Q7. So, and I'm like, what? Okay. So, it was pretty tough, not just in Calcutta. Even after coming back, it was, and the other thing, if you're falling, let's say you're walking on the road and you trip and you fall, no problem. But imagine you climb up to the second floor and you fall from there. That's what happened with me. In a sense, it's not such a big fall, but they announced Farzi, the feature film. There was a press release that said Raj and DK have roped in debutant screenwriter Suman Kumar. I think DK also paid me some. Keep this once it's properly greenlit, whatever, we'll adjust it. Money also, advance also came in. And who's the star cast? Shahid Kapoor, Kriti Saran, Nawazuddin Siddiqui. This is, I think, 2012 or 13, around that time. And I'm like, now I'm Bollywood, bro. Like, I was like, for various reasons, that feature film project never took off. And of course, it had to become a series later on. But yeah, so I'm like, what is happening to me? Like, you start getting doubts, like, maybe I'm unlucky. Maybe I'm not lucky for people. There are people who said that this guy is not lucky.
Wow.
Yeah. Sen- and so it was like, no, I don't want to say, haha, yeah, chase your dream. Yeah, but it is. I would say that I lucked out, not just with Chitra, who was my like, my uh, my guide, my navigator in this terrible storm that I was stuck in. But it makes for a great story, romantic story when it pays off. But I know of people who've been like at it for 30 years, 25 years, who it evades them. Yeah, so which is why like I like writing books. There is nobody, no, it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't want to publish it, no problem. I'll publish it on my own. My story will be out.
I want to talk about the book, but before I talk about the book, another aspect of those 3 years that you spent in Calcutta is that you were a stay at home dad. And I want to ask about how fatherhood changed you. You know, earlier you mentioned that when you're learning something, it's important not to see the forest, but to see the trees. And to take that same metaphor further, I imagine that when you become a father, you actually start stepping back and seeing the forest again. You start seeing the bigger picture of life, as it were, instead of getting caught up in the small things, because now you've got a kid and, the perspective changes. So tell me about how fatherhood changed you. Like, first of all, what were the challenges of being a stay at home dad, and did it make you more patient? And then what are the different ways in which it changed you?
Definitely that those 3 years in Calcutta like had a massive impact on who I am today. Um, it's like it's a responsibility that most males, Indian males at least, shirk. They just provide, and like the ladies, most. I'm not talking about the progressive bandra guy, but or if such a thing exists, but
The progressive Bandra guy is only posturing. He's often the worst. But
yeah.
anyway, continue.
So the mostly it's the ladies that like do the heavy lifting in when it comes to raising children. They take care of everything when the guy provides, and he thinks that his job is done when he comes in. This I'm talking about this one small town family where one guy works in a private company. That middle class family. But what I understood is that when I started doing this, as a stay-at-home dad, a simple thing like getting your child to take an afternoon nap, it will crush even Batman's ego. Like you could be anything, but try that. Which is why I always say that, yeah, maybe you cannot take off 3 years, but take 3 months off. I mean, your partner has just gone through life and death experience, and the baby has come out. All that you can do, the least you can do, is give her a 3 months break. You take care of the baby. That will teach you one, like you said, patience, like acceptance. Uh, when kids cry, I realized it. When your kid is wailing because you're not giving a toy or an additional chocolate or whatever, the kids, they're very manipulative. Like kids are assholes basically. So they're manipulative and they do their thing, and their geniuses are doing what they're doing. I mean, uh, the neighbor thinks that I'm torturing the child. Hey Suman, what are you doing here? Is this weird? So I'm like, dude, do you even know what is going on here? No, there is no way. He has only my word because she can barely speak. Uh, and I always wanted a daughter. So I used to buy all baby girl clothes when Chitra was like 6, 7 months along. We had no idea. And she's like, Suman, what is wrong with you? What if it's a boy? I'm like, no, no. If it's a boy, I'm selling him on eBay, dude. We're not having a boy in our house. And thankfully, we had it. They were born on, they shared the birthday. Adya was born on Chitra's birthday,
Wow.
Feb 12th. Yeah. That's but the funny thing is, it started before. I have this massive fear of driving a car because I'm always thinking, oh my god, I'm going to run down these people. Oh my god, I'm going to look this side and somebody will come here. And then, I have this morbid fear of. I used to have a morbid fear of driving a car. And Chitra said, you are bringing the baby and me in our car, so buy a car. So that's how I bought a car. I bought a car and I had to learn driving in the bylanes of Bangalore. Yeah, I overcome another demon in my head. The way you were brought up, I don't know about others, but I was beat up. Like, I mean, corporal punishment, as they call it, is was the norm. My mom and dad, both of them used to beat us up. I mean, sometimes together. So it was a thing. Like, it was back in the day. It was okay for your physics teacher to whack you with a stick, but now it's not.
I've been through all that as well. So
Yeah.
I guess it's our generation.
Yeah, and but now you're a father. When you, as a parent, as a father, you can't do that. You can't even raise your voice. You have to reason with. That doesn't work. When was the last time reason worked with kids? Never. So it is making you ready for life ahead. At the same time, you realize, and then you appreciate, if there is one thing you can go ask any new mother, new father, you can go ask them. Anyone, without exception. This is, if you go ask them, we will take care of the baby for 3 days. You don't have to worry about it. We'll take care of the baby. What will you do? Like, go out on a trip, short trip, or get hold up in the house and have lots of sex, or sleep. They will say sleep. You can offer them $1 million to not sleep. They will say no, fuck you. We want to sleep. The first casualty of having a child is sleep. Oh man. And that's when you understand the 10 minutes of extra sleep, the worth of it. All of these small things. There is no one big thing, it is not like one philosophical metamorphosis that happened in me. No, it's all these small things that and of course it's like my daughter has an extraordinary ability. I think most kids do. Either it's not nurtured, I don't know. But so we used to play Tom and Jerry. And Tom and Jerry, most episodes had classical music playing. So when Tom is sneaking through something, like this effects, she used to note for note, entire episode, she will hum the music. And I'm like, thank God she loves music. So all these things I was able to observe, and net, even then, like, I'm there morning to evening, and then she comes back. The first thing that Chitra would do is take her to the park, where there were like geese and whatnot, and in Calcutta near Tollygunge. We used to live in Tollygunge, and like, she's a doctor, grueling work, comes back home, and then again takes the baby. And I mean, that's the difference between mothers and fathers. I think they have a stronger connection. I mean, both ways, the kid and the mother, versus with fathers. I mean, they say no, a girl child likes her father. No, that's all bullshit. It's the mother always. Yeah.
When your daughter listens to this episode, she's going to wonder why you called her an asshole. It's not a nice thing to do.
No, I said kids, in general.
While talking about her, it's no getting away from that. No, and while listening to you, it's striking how much a family man actually seems to mirror your life in the sense, Shrikant Tiwari's feelings about his wife earning more than him, and she's so successful, and he's not good enough. And then in season three, especially the beautiful father-daughter arc that's coming up, like
Yeah,
there's that
that's
very
my
memorable scene. They're sitting
the
together in the
next. Yeah,
train and
yeah.
talking, and that's such a
That's my
lovely.
favorite scene. I mean, I wrote it and I directed it also. It's just why
Wow, yeah, that's lovely. That really hits a spot for me.
that scene has a. If you observed, it starts very somber, saying, "Pa, everything will be all right." Right? Yeah, yeah, it'll be all right. And then it goes to a place where, when you knew your job was dangerous, why did you get married? Ah, what? We can't, like, people who work for the country can't get married or what? And then he goes into love story, like, I never want to get married. And then I saw your mom. And then, happy place. And then it ends with, Pa, why don't you guys talk to each other and sort it out? And he says, no, that ship has sailed. So it has a nice uh, rhythm to it. And that scene was originally supposed to be between, again, Srikanth and Suchitra. And I said, why is Suchitra and Srikanth talking, and what will they talk anyway? That's when I said, okay, what if it's the daughter? Then it just, boom. And even Mr. Bajpayee loves the scene. That's his favorite scene.
It's a beautiful scene. Tell me about, since you were so sleep deprived in those 3 years because your daughter was an asshole, as you've just told everyone.
Thanks, Amit.
so, given what it was like, how did you manage to put together the discipline to write the book? Like, one thing that is commonly said about writers is that the days when they sit down to write a book, their house is the cleanest it has ever been, because they will find every excuse to not sit down and write. So they will do the dusting, they will do the cleaning, they will find. And you had no shortage of excuses from looking after your daughter. You could easily have rationalized not doing the writing, and yet you found the discipline to get the entire book out, Ranga Half Pants out. Give me a sense of what that was like, how you conceived the book. Like, reading the book, it just struck me that even its structure is so
Oh, you read it?
immaculate. Uh-huh.
You read it?
I have to confess, I kind of skimmed through it because
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
time got in the way. But what I was impressed by was the structuring of the book, and the way you have these short chapters, and they keep you. It's almost like a mini series in that sense.
Yeah.
That you end a chapter, you go on to the next one, and it just flows very fluidly like that. So, give me a sense of how you sort of conceived of it, and how you what was. What was it like discovering what the book is, and therefore putting structure and all in place, and how did you get the discipline right?
That's I learned about this discipline thing from Stephen King. I was reading sometime back before I started all this. I was reading On Writing, a memoir to the craft by Stephen King. And he said it many occasions as well. He said, sit your ass down, doesn't matter, at the appointed hour, but it has to be the same time every day. So that discipline is, I mean, it was very difficult for me in the sense that, first of all, I'm not a disciplined guy. Then I realized that uh, it shouldn't turn out that you quit your day job saying, I'm going to chase a dream. At the end of 3 years, you have nothing to show. That, I mean, how will that look? Not like it matters, but at that time, I was worried about it. I was like, oh God. I told you, see, all these book and all, don't just go, shut up. And that's what people will say. My family would say, my uncles would say, whatever. So that fear was that. I'm not saying that's a huge contributing factor, but it was there. And then I realized something about me. Like, you take me and like put me in, I don't know, the other railway station, I can write. I can completely like drown out the noise around me. I don't know how. That is one thing that I think I innately have. Saying, if I become a monomaniac. I just don't care. I'm writing. I write on sets. Sets are usually like a lot of noise, a lot of some 200 people milling about, working about. So for me, that thing was, I used to write. I used to think, first I started saying, whenever I get a window, I'll write. In the morning, like you cook, and then you take your daughter. Chitra used to drop her to play school. I have to make lunch, and in the afternoon go pick her up and come back. So I have a window of 2 hours, right. So what I used to do was I used to finish cooking fast, go sit. If I'm not writing actual scenes, I'm actually, or I'm at least doing research, or I'm doing, the putting down the structure. I will be doing something or the other which is connected to the book at that appointed time. So my only regret is it wasn't rewritten as much as I would liked it. But yeah, it was grueling. In the sense, it was grueling, not in terms of the lack of chronological time. It's more about. I mean, now factor in all the things that I said. You're not making money. You're this. You're like so many things weighing you down. Uh, I actually find solace like with every passing paragraph, page, chapter. I started feeling like hey, you know what, man, we're onto something here. We're doing something. So in a way, for me, that was therapeutic. The the very act of putting together a story was therapeutic. Um, and the best part is, I finished the first draft, and I had it on me for a year. I didn't tell anyone because I thought this is a crock of shit. Nobody's gonna like it. It's partially true. I mean, it's a little bit shit, but I don't know. I mean, see, you'll always look back at your old work and say, "That could have been way better." But I don't want to do that. It is what it is. But then the fact that a big publishing house and Kanishka Gupta was my agent. I sent it to him because Sita, our creative partner, we worked in Farzi, Sita Menon. She asked me, what happened to that book? I said, yeah, I wrote it, man. She's like, what is wrong with you? And she put me on to Kanishka, and Kanishka said, I'll get back, take 1 week. He got back in 24 hours and saying, it's fresh, it's nice. And that's how it got published. So I wrote it, didn't even bother telling anyone that I now finished the draft. I remember writing, nobody writes the end in a book, but I had to do it as it's symbolic for me saying, yes, you did it. I think it was close to 70,000 words or 67. I'm not sure. It's in that zone, 60 to 70,000 words. And now I clock way more. Uh, if I sit in a day and I'm writing, I'm clocking like at least 4 or 5 scenes a day. That time it was. I used to rationalize like this. See, you want to write a book, right? Yeah, you wrote a book. Over. Why do you want to send it and make a fool of yourself? All this was. It was not just the writing. It's also there was so much of conditioning that I was like literally, even after we came back from Calcutta and we moved back to Bangalore, even then I was like, uh yeah. Only then when Kanishka told me, no, 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 it's great, you send. Uh, yeah, that's how Ranga Half Pants happened.
We fixed up this recording a couple of days back, and I had tons of other stuff to get over. So I read part of the book very well and skimmed the rest, but I have to say it's anything but shit. You're being way too hard on yourself. It just flowed very well, and the details were great. It was evocative. Everything was great. So I think you're being much too harsh. Do you feel you let yourself down? That's the feeling I'm getting. Did you expect more from yourself? What did you expect?
Yeah, I like both Chitra and I spoke about it. I thought that I could have done better. Like, I'm a much better writer now as compared to the Ranga Half Pants days. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm. It's almost pompous when you say, it's not that. It's my genuine angst that such a great story. Like, who writes about? I mean, it is basically it's essentially. Somebody asked me to describe your book. I said Malgudi Days meets Ram Gopal Varma's Shiva. If you think about it, it's that. It has that cute, school whatever, and I also have that the underworld, the the gangsters and whatnot, the political gangster mafia nexus, all that. It's there, but I mean, I'm in my head. I think you'll always do that. Like if you ask me, like could Family Man One has been better? The answer is yes. But then again, that's not the point. I don't think that should. And I think you're right. I should like stop. Probably like stop beating myself up like this, saying, "Oh no, it's shit" and all that. I don't think I should do that. Again, like I said, it's the classic. What is it called? Imposter syndrome, whatever.
I'll give you a term for it. I would call it the Rubinstein moment. So this is there's a famous story about the pianist Rubinstein that once he gave a concert and standing ovation and all that, and at the end of it he was like unhappy, and the person with him asked him that, hey, you got a standing ovation, why are you unhappy? So he said, because I know how I played, and then he gives this explanation. He says, look, if I don't practice for 3 days, the audience knows. If I don't practice for 2 days, the critics know. If I don't practice for 1 day, only I know. So it was that kind of thing that he let himself down, but nobody else noticed because it's
understood. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
So tell me this also about the process of writing. Like when I write, there's that standard line people give about how writing is painful. It is a having written that is wonderful. That sometimes the act of writing is bloody hard, but you force yourself to do it and then you're really happy you wrote. But at other times, even while I am writing, I just feel very happy. When you're in that flow and things are coming, you just feel very happy. How is it like for you?
My theory is that a really poorly put together 1,000 words is any day better than 0 words. Great beautifully put 0 words, 1,000 words, because you can always rewrite it. And this is the thing about, and for someone like me whose language skills, my English is not that, like I'm not a master of the English language, but I know my shit. Like you must have figured by now that I know my shit. And I very cleverly make it my own. I'll use a lot of not vernacular. It's my way of
The
my
flavor
flavor
comes
that
through.
I bring.
Yeah.
So, but there are some times when you're trying to solve a problem. Like there's this book that I'm working on. I cannot talk about it. Who, what? There is a book that I'm working on right now, fiction, and in that I was struggling with this problem. Like now, like probably like 3-4 weeks back, I'm like, how will this character connect with that character so that they can hire him? Is the idea, very roughly. And then I'm like, I was sitting there staring at the screen. Suddenly, I know what happened. Idea fell in place, and I wrote away. It's like there was. I was in a flow and I wrote and I was like, I finished it and I said, one of those very rare occasions where I say, well done, man. Yeah, it happens. Uh, like I said, like you said, it's a thing, right? Like, you keep, it's like saying, I know I don't want to compare myself to when a Kohli or a Tendulkar plays this absolute straight drive, uh, uh, when Glenn McGrath or whoever, Brett Lee screams in 150k per hour, and they make it look like, oh, you're seeing it like a football, all that, right? But that's not just that one moment.
It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime of having practiced the craft and worked on the skill. I mean, look at that. I mean, one of the most vivid recollections of the 2003 World Cup. 2003 World Cup is that that 6 of Sachin over third man of Shoaib Akhtar, I think. And I'm like, oh my God, wait, this guy, he thought about it. He knows that he's going to come at you fast and come at you bowl a lot of short stuff. So I'm going to. He's the one who's, and in the same match, even Sehwag plays it, the same shot. And now look at it. Look at where T20 is. Look at the kind of shots that Sky is playing. Or so I'm saying all of this is it's not just that one moment. And there are moments where you sit there and you're writing dialogue, and then halfway through you're like, oh my god, which two people talk like this, man? It sounds like dialogue. It should flow like a conversation. There should be some conversational disequilibrium. It reads like staged. And then you go rewrite it. You realize you've done only about 300 words. And there are days where you do like you've clocked in 3,000, 4,000 words. So, it's the most important thing there is, and first of all, it's a very lonely affair. If you don't enjoy this process, this boring process, this tedious, boring process of putting words together, taking one word, then have you ever paused and said, what is the most appropriate, say, adjective here, and spent like a good 1.5 hours on it? But yeah, sometimes you run, sometimes you walk, sometimes it's that, I guess. So
You've written this. No, you know what I tell my writing students. In fact, whenever somebody says, "Oh, English is my second language or third language, and my vocabulary isn't great," and my response to that always is that you don't need to know more words than your readers, right? So I think too many people get too carried away trying to make their English fancy or trying to do funky things with the language. And the thing is, no, man, if you just write it the way you would speak with a friend, that is actually good enough to tell the story.
And that insecurity shows when you say my vocabulary is not good, my English is not good. The entire book is in one certain uh, tone and cadence. There's one place where Ranga says, "Why is he commenting on my sartorial elegance?" And then somebody pointed out saying, "It's all nice. Why are you showing off there?" I'm like, yeah, that was showing off. You don't have to show off. Which is why I'm like, I put a premium on honesty in storytelling. That's it. You don't need anything else. I give, when people ask me writing advice, this and or I usually don't give out advice because I'm still learning. I tell them there's this guy called Vigil Idiot who used to do reviews with stick figures. He did well. Nobody questioned, right? Hey, that figure is not this. It's not properly drawn. No, you get the point, right? He used some medium which he thought was a fun way of, funnier way of, breaking down a movie review. So I think it's that. It is that freshness that. In Ranga Half Pants, my editor said we need a vocabulary for all the vernacular words. So I improvised on it. I didn't write what does Dongana Kodaka means. Like son of a thief. Okay. I didn't write son of a thief. I'll write something. Or idli. They asked me like, really? She said, yeah, idli you have to write. It's a pan-India book, idli. I said, what? Then I said, oh, cool. Idli. Like, I said, go to Pakistan. If you don't know what idli means, go to Pakistan. That's the idea. So like this, I've played around with... so people have told me they really enjoyed your glossary. So I'm saying you have to give something to the reader, as a saying, you know what, we care about you. Don't give them, surprise them. And that's the thing. That is the keyword, I think. Whether it is a stand-up comedy, filmmaking, series, films, or short stories, podcast, doesn't matter. Anything, if you manage to surprise your audience in a good way, not shock them, but in a good way, if you surprise them, you have it. I mean, what is humor? But it is surprise, right?
There's a beautiful post by from 2016 where you spoke about this open mic comedy night which was going on at Take 5 Bangalore, and one comedian was having a horrible day. Nobody was laughing. He was just a completely awful day. And when he finished, the comic he was opening for told him that if you breathe it, you'll make it. relax, right? And I sort of
Where are
love.
you reading it off from?
I'm reading it from one of your old posts.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
Matt. Matt. Yeah, yeah.
Matt and I think Amar was.
Amar, Amar. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you breathe it, you'll make it. And it feels like that those years were years when you hadn't made it yet, but you were breathing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So take me through that period of time that after Calcutta, you come back to Bangalore. What's going through your head? The book is written, then you get the book published with Jaco, and you've written a script as you pointed out. You worked on Fuzzy with these guys. So tell me about the reconnection with DK, about how that partnership then began to take off with Raj and DK,
So,
and so on.
okay, again, this is the beauty of it, right? So you're sitting there writing your blog, and everybody's saying you should monetize your blog, and but I think I'm incredibly blessed. Now I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God, but I think I'm really blessed because everybody is saying, haha, I made $100 in 4 months. And in those days, when Google AdSense used to send payout checks from there, uh, when I was like, shit, man, I'll also put text ads. No, text ads will put. So I put text ads. Nothing happened. 2004, unfortunate that I had to make money off this. I feel bad about it. But it wasn't planned. My friend Nanda from Chennai sends me pictures of the December 26th tsunami that happened. I put posters of it, posts of it, and I put it in Chennai. And there is an iconic picture of one body, one guy's corpse lying there, and there is a buffalo, which is the ride of the god of death Yama, right? That buffalo. Madhu takes it and posts it in Metacritic. New York Times picks it up. I'm getting a call from my hosting brother, bro, what is happening? It's insane. Now, the minute NYT picked it up, now it got syndicated to every publication house. Like we have given interviews to Chinese media houses. Okay, my AdSense revenue exploded in 2005, 2004, 2005. But anyway, so I mean, I'm just saying how you don't intend for something and you're like, man, one is similarly. DK and Raj are sitting in they're like in the US, and one of their friends from West Coast they reach out. I think DK was in San Antonio then, I think, or Minneapolis, whatever. So she says, "Who is this guy? Why is he writing about you?" Like, oh, he looks at me like, ah, that's Suman. He's my friend. He's my schoolmate. So what I had written there was about how my mom used to say, like I would flunk in math. This guy will get 100 out of 100 in math. Okay, he's brilliant academically. So my mom will say, what a blessed womb her mother's womb is. And look at what I got. Like this, she used to say in Tamil, okay. I'm like, yaru petta pulliyo. They look at, and Sachin is our age, by the way. I think probably a couple of months older to me, or 3 4 months.
Yeah.
April. Sachin is hitting century in Perth. I'm getting bajawed at home. I used to hate him, and I wrote on ESPN when Sachin retired from ODIs. I wrote, "I love you like I hate you," because my mom said, "He'll hit 1 6 and like, yaru petta pulliyo," and I'll be eating, okay, because no job, nothing. That was funny. So now I'm writing this blog post about things where I mentioned DK, about how my mom used to say, "Look at him. His mother is so blessed. Look at me. I'm so cursed. Whatever." And then DK reads the other stories like Perfect Love Letter, whatever. And then I have a habit of saying whatever a lot, bad habit. But anyway, it's bad for a stand-up comic. So DK reaches out to me when I was working in ESPN. He's like, man, what fantastic detailing you put in. Great storytelling. Do you want to work with us? This was when they were shooting Go Go Ogan and about to start shooting Go Go Ogan. So I went on a birding trip to Goa, and then from there I went to meet them. That was the first time I met Raj. And then we started talking, we started building, and I think it was we just started work on Farzi, the feature. So the blog that everybody thought that I'm wasting my time by writing was the thing that actually got me into filmmaking in a way, in more ways than one, right? So all the writing literally and even metaphorically did not go for waste. It didn't go, yeah. So that's how we reconnected. And first, initially, I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what's this screenplay writing. I don't know. Then I don't know. You just develop the story. We'll take care of it. So I started. I did some minor work for A Gentleman. I did some minor work for Stree. That's later, and then of course, and I don't know why Rajan DK gave me this gig because they were way more experienced in writing, way more. Maybe they saw something in me, maybe which I didn't see myself.
The breath of life.
Sure. And then suddenly when I'm putting these ideas which I'm thinking is normal, yeah, correct only, normal only. Like this guy will come and ask, he's a middle class guy. See, what is the greatest thing for a spy? They shouldn't look like spies. Number one, right? What's the best disguise? The average Joe, your John Doe, your maybe the uncle who's next door, if there is an uncle here. I'm just saying, for all you care, you could be this boring uncle who roams around in Ganges and whatnot. But what if he's working for Raw? Now that's a great pivot to work off of, right? Then his boss is saying, serious. See, they have come. Go pick them up, interrogate them, and get some intel. And he says, "Okay, sir." And sir, that home loan. Can you please see that balancing act? Now became the. So we are writing away without. Okay, here's the thing. Season 1 is written, shot, completed, delivered. We continue shooting season 2. Season 1 has not released.
Wow, so no feedback.
We had no idea. So I'm like, hey, second season, oh, extra money. Pa. So I was thinking that in my head, I was absolutely confident that this is not going to work.
Why?
I don't know. It's me. Same thing, same shit. Crippling insecurity, this, that. I'm like, this is not working. It has become a little better now. Little, and at least 20-30% better. But imagine back then I was. So that's how, like, the whole thing with DK, Rajan DK happened. And DK, like I said, was my schoolmate. I mean, that's unfortunate because guy is like too good in academics, and I'm the worst. I scored 18 out of 115 math once.
I think my math was also bad. I can't remember numbers right now, but obviously because my math is bad. But yeah, I mean that's anyway. I'm sure your mother doesn't have the same complaint now about DK's mother being more lucky than her.
Yeah, my mom now, recently, like one Tamil magazine featured me, and then she called me and said, "Hey, Anand Vigadan, they have your this." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, Suman, yeah." I always knew that you will become a celebrity. That's the funniest ever.
Wow. Yeah. So take me through this journey of learning screenwriting because you know how to tell a story. You have told stories in your blog format. You have told stories on that 192-page unruled horizontal form. You've written a novel. You've written 2 novels. So one of them you are saying you will never show anyone, but we shall see.
The
But
third is on the way. I'll show the third one.
show the third one. But screenplays are a whole screenplays are a whole new ball game. As you've said, it's the screenplay is really like a technical document. For
Yes.
what everyone else has to do. So take me through your process of learning the craft, learning the form. Like you have all kinds of cliches. You have the Sitfield book. You have the 3-act structure, etc., etc. To what extent do you have to internalize that? To what extent can you go past it after you internalize it? What's the stuff that you learn? Take me through your journey of learning how to write screenplays.
So when you write a book, right, you are the writer, director, actor, everything. It's you. But that's not where it, stands out I'm trying to observe the difference in experience. Same book, like what was your lizard called? The book Sancho.
My book was called My Friend Sancho.
My friend
It's,
Sancho.
it's
Sancho.
embarrassing. You're reminding me of my book. It's a terrible book.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
uh, so if somebody picks up, my friend Sancho in here and reads it, and their boyfriend or sister, whatever, they pick up the same book and they read it, it's two different experiences. Because words stir images, and those images are based on your conditioning, your upbringing, your whatever, your cultural grounding, many things, right? So a book is basically one story, but multiple universes, worlds, because everybody is painting with the brush that they have, and that brush is different for everybody. So, but when you adapt my book Sancho to a film, that is my understanding, my uh, version of Sancho, right? Uh, so that said, that therein lies the rub, which means in a book you have to describe the color of her lipstick if need be, uh, that they are sitting. Amit Verma is sitting behind a mahogany desk, and the what do you call the warm reading lamp, cast shadows, dada, all that, right? You don't have to do that in screenplay. You don't have to explain what is the color of your character's shirt. You don't have to explain the color of the walls. Nothing, because there are professionals, there are artists who will come and do it for you. You just it's very minimalist approach to writing it, because you don't want to walk on other people's toes. Something as simple as, and then he raised his eyebrow in, pissed off, he raised his left eyebrow. Any actor will come and say, why the fuck are you telling me how to emote? I know how to show anger. Just write, he is angry or she is angry. Don't tell me how to express my anger. That's my job. So that is, which is why I said it's an invitation for other artists too. I mean, I didn't say it, I borrowed a quote. That is where it fundamentally differs from approaching writing a short story or any fiction, and this. So the big trick here is to knowing when to run, knowing when to walk. Sometimes you'll write one paragraph of full. Sometimes the action sequence will become uh, an exciting gunfight ensues. That's it, because the stunt designer will take care of what how it ensued. All that. So this, if you understand, you that a screenplay is not a literary pursuit.
So, in a sense, you're designing a forest and letting specialists put in trees.
You are putting a boundary.
Mm.
No, but you are
You are also putting,
right. There is a character, there is a certain graph. They go through transformation. There's a story. There is a beginning, middle, and end. There is enough story. All that, but it's not ready yet. It's not cooked yet. It's like you have made the blueprint. Now everybody will come and say, no, I think the wall should be blue. And because of the wall should be blue, I think we should do earth colors, costumes, costume design, everything. So all of this will play out like that. It is pretty basic and profound at once. In the sense that's why it's great. Which is why I said it. You need a village to make a film. So screenplay writing is that most people, at least the young aspiring writers, make the mistake of thinking that see, I'm going to write the fuck out of it, and end up writing needless things instead of focusing on what is my story. And also, most important is, I write the screenplay at the very end of the writing process. So we spend months. We have a bullet point story for each episode, say, and then I will say we'll be moving around scenes and this that, and then we have these post-its in our office which are like, episode 1, episode 2, like, all episodes. You're moving stuff around, you're doing all this. Not one word has gone into final draft. We haven't touched the screenplay at all. Once we finish fleshing out this story, we will write, each scene will have a detailed synopsis, each scene. That's what we call a Bible. So once that happens, and then it comes to screenplay. That's the last thing we do. But I have seen many people, I have this great story idea, tada, open, int, like, apartment, andheri, gone. I mean, that's it. You have shot yourself in the foot, because it is just a format, what you're doing. You need to spend time with, your characters. See what structure, cinema structure. What structure is best suited for this story? Like, what is the best way to prop this story? Is it like a linear narrative, non-linear? All these calls you'll get to make when you're doing this exercise. So that is the tough part. Once this is done, writing screenplay is, I don't want to dissociate screenplay, but the screenplay is the end product of this entire development / writing cycle. What you see is the screenplay.
So, paint a picture or make a dummy's guide for me for how a writing room functions and what it does. Through this part of the process, creating the Bible. Screenplay, like you said, is the last part of the product when the entire blueprint is ready and then you do it. But when a writing room gathers together, what are the stages of deliberation? What are the different kind of roles you and Raj and DK and your co-writers might play? Paint me a picture of how it kind of works.
So what we did this time, or even previously in season 2, was like we wrote the Bible. That is between Raj, DK, and I for Family Man. We wrote the Bible. Once we had the Bible,
Tell me again what the Bible is.
So Bible is you can, at least what we do, what we call a Bible is a episodic breakdown of scenes where each scene is elucidated with as much detail as possible. It's like reading a flowing document where there are think of it as a script sans the
screenplay,
the dialogue. So you'll see one heading of a scene, and then you'll see a description of what went on in that scene.
And approximately how many scenes would there be in an episode?
I would peg it at 20.
So about 20 scenes in an episode. And is it synonymous with beats? Or that's a separate terminology?
All these terminology, people came up with it. It means absolutely nothing, honestly, because I want a beat sheet. Okay? So what you're trying to tell me is, you have written a descriptive, detailed synopsis of the scene. I want a log line of this one line. So if I take that one line and stack it as a numbered list, that's a beat sheet. What else can it be? Or, and then they say character bios. See, character bios are nice to write internally. That is, it's whenever I have this thing, I will go read. Some idea will come. Oh yeah. He was posted in Nagaland. No, I will use that in the story. That's, other than that, it has no consumption value at all, except for the writer themselves. There is beat sheet. There is. So first, what we do is we start with a story. What is it? Let's not flesh out the whole thing. Let's see where can it go? Give us an idea of direction. That's the synopsis. That's what a synopsis is supposed to do. So we write synopsis. Think about setting this. We write the synopsis, and we do a character bios, descriptive, or at least the major characters. Why the character is in this situation and at this point in time. Why are they that way? You explain their context, motivations, what they do in life, etc. So, and the synopsis, and then what we think of that becomes your pitch, let's say. So once a platform sees it and they like what they've read, saying, hey, looks like it has potential, then what they'll do is they'll develop uh, I mean, they'll green light development. That's when you start, flushing. Now you'll sit and say each episode you'll break down. Each episode you'll break down and say, yeah, we can start with this. And make sure that each ending, because it's OTT, I mean, each episode ends nicely so that they are intrigued to click the next button and to go to the next episode. We do all that. We do everything. And then you have the Bible. At this stage, what we do is for efficiency, that's when we say, hey, we'll call like a Nikhil Gonzalez and Sudesh Kamath wrote screenplay this time, two episodes along with us for Family Man season 3. So that's when you say, hey, you know what? You have watched the show. Here is the Bible. Why don't you write episode 2 and 3? You write episode 4 and 5 and whatnot. And then, of course, we have a review process where we go through the thing. And because we write in English, but we know exactly what we want the character to say, but it's in English, so it has to be neutral. Like you can't write a stitch in time saves 9. Then it becomes difficult to translate in Hindi, right? That's when the dialogue writer steps in, and dialogue writers themselves will sometimes elevate it. The many things like this. So this is by and large, these are the milestones in the development cycle. Yeah.
Tell me also about the ecosystem of filmmaking here. I look at sort of filmmaking in Warsaw as an example when I point out that if you tell people to follow their dreams, you could be making a big mistake. Because of the 1,000 people who follow their dreams, one or two may succeed, and the rest are just, sitting in the cafes of Warsaw, wondering what could have been. And it's an incredibly difficult industry to make a breakthrough. Projects are lying in limbo for years and years, etc., etc. I mean, I haven't gone through any of it, thankfully, but I've seen it happen to friends of mine. It's a deeply sort of frustrating place. They will complain about how the people at OTTs don't have a clue. These days, the new talk in town is of how Netflix's new metrics are in place, where they want a film to be watched in the background. So instead of show don't tell, there is tell don't show, where you have to keep repeating what the film is about in case a viewer missed it. All kinds of nonsense like that. So what is your sort of experience of dealing with the OTTs, dealing with these so-called gatekeepers, etc., etc.?
My experience, personally, I speak only for myself, is that it's been great because I've worked only with Amazon and Netflix, and they're incredibly supportive, incredibly they like my work, and so that's me. This whole thing of tell don't show, make people watch the film or a series when they're still on the phones, all that's bullshit. That's what happens when corporate honchos come and sit and say make decisions for filmmakers, which I think is unfortunate, because earlier you had a producer. Like whether you go to any production house, whether it is YRF, Tips, Dharma, I mean, Jungli, I can go on, Excel, everybody's from a film family, at least. Like they know cinema. Very few of them exist, but they know. You say one line, the premise, they're like, done. Done well, this will do well. And those were the days when, because the producing team itself understands that what is cinema, what is filmmaking. They were not working for the reprisals. But now the thing has changed. The corporatization of, and it's the same in Hollywood as well. It's the same. I'm not saying it is unique to India. It's the same everywhere, at least in Hollywood. I mean, it's same for Hollywood and Bollywood. So we tend to make mistakes that you started regressing. See, you think that you know what? Let's go make soaps is a bad idea for OTT. There is no point in making those soaps because those soaps existed for a reason in on television, where they came in every day or once a week at the appointed time. There was a reason for it. Now there is no such. Now the and you have the consumption of your content is device agnostic. I can watch it on my phone, iPad, laptop, my 55-inch LED TV, whatever. You don't control that. So I would much rather focus on make it look good on the phone, not just your you're looking at the grade in a big screen. But how does the grade look here? How does the sound design, stack up on a when you listen to it on a phone? All this. So you should be worried about. Though this is how the landscape has changed. Now, um, instead of focus, like you said earlier, when you give compelling content, people don't mind listening to a podcast for 10 hours, 12 hours. It's the same thing. But instead, imagine you coming and telling me, you know what, if I put my podcast in Dolby Atmos, now people will love it. No, they don't. Stuff like that, because there will always be someone popping up, coming out. It's not just OTT, even the whole filmmaking thing has changed. Like, look at it. One macho movie where one guy beats up 100 people becomes a massive pan India hit. Done. You are, for the next 3 years or 4 years, you'll be seeing that only. You are still continuing to see that. There is no, the lack of, I miss movies like Notting Hill. I miss movies like All the President's Men. I miss movies, uh, Rishikesh Mukherjee's movies.
I was just thinking of that. Nobody makes those anymore. Why is that?
Nobody may, spectacle nahi hai, spectacle nahi hai. But how come a love story becomes a hit? That's also not a spectacle. So what you're doing is you're craftily milking the melodrama. But when was the last time you saw a good comedy in films? It's been a while. So I mean, there is no silver bullet to this thing. It's just we are also scrambling in this transient landscape where everything is changing, like, by the day. The it is I think it's we all should remind ourselves that, at the end of the day, it's the stories that sell. It's compelling stories that sell. It's not your, like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I always tell people that, listen, you have to decide, do you want to be a McDonald's or do you want to be a gourmet restaurant? It's up to you. Both are fine. No, I want to make truckloads of money. I'm going to get into this, I'm going to flip burgers, where exactly every single serving of French fries is measured across the world, whatnot. It's burgers at the end of the day. It's like a supply, whatever it is. There is no talent involved. I mean, talent is involved, but it's not for every burger. You design the burger, you've done it, done. Now, I don't want to be a McD. I want to be a gourmet restaurant. That's a call that I have made. Yeah, in this process, will I like lose the opportunity to make money? Sure, no problem. But I'm not done. It's okay. So that's what I like. You need to, and also, in thanks to OTT, your films live forever. Like, take my film for example, Raghutata. Had a limited theatrical release. Nobody even knew that the movie dropped in the movie theaters. 1 week later, they pulled it out and it went. So everybody, even I thought, and it's a comedy, by the way. It's a story of this girl, 70s, small town Tamil Nadu. I don't know if you've read the thing. The girl who is the face of the anti-Hindi imposition protests is forced to learn Hindi so that she can break off the engagement. The original story was a guy to get a girl should learn Hindi. Then I said, how long will the guy keep getting the girl. Doesn't make sense. So I said, what if it's a girl? Then it brought another interesting angle to it, which is, oh, you can't impose stuff, is it? Oh, you can't impose language. Then how can you impose a dress code on me? How can you impose? Uh, so it became a thing there. So it's a comedy again, not preachy. This movie comes out again, limited release for whatever. I mean, the producers are the best judges. It came to ZOTT, Z5. It exploded. It just like it was their number two or number three best performing film on their OTT, I think, for 2024. So I'm saying when you make a movie with or series, it will find its audience. That's why I said a good story, no, any story, it will find its home. So, but the biggest problem right now is the so-called success of anything is purely based on, oh, it made 1,000 crores, oh, it made 10,000 crores. I'm like, sure, yes, people have invested money in it. You have to. I mean, of course, you have to worry about it. But is that the only? My thing is, if you want to make money and you have 100 crores and you want to make money, if I were you, making a movie would be the last thing I would do with the 100 crores. I would invest in stocks. I would do something real estate, whatever. So you have already come to the industry knowing the risks as a producer. And as an OTT, you have already come into you as a platform have come into the filmmaking business, knowing fully well that this is not box office. How you monetize it, whatever, that we don't know. What you're saying is, here, we'll make this show, you make the show and give it to us, and that's about it. So there is no, oh, what was the collection on Friday, right? Nobody asks an OTT. And also, why do you see? The other thing is, why is it that uh, even OTT platforms are toying with ideas like, if you want to watch it early, pay. I've already paid for the OTT, and the recently somebody said a film. I don't want to take its name. They It went to OTT and they changed the grade, the color. I mean, why would you do that? It's somebody else's. I mean, they had this. This is how it looks in theaters. This is how it looks on OTT. I mean, on your TV or whatever. There is a significant downgrade of color.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. There must be a corporate reason for it. There cannot be any. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing of. I mean, that way, in the sense that, for example, Amazon, they never ever. They will have feedback. We send the content team, they go through it and they give us feedback. All that happens. But once scripts are done, that's it. They don't interfere at all. Same goes for Netflix when we did Guns and Gulab. It's a very out there story. They didn't, Netflix didn't like really. I mean, they had, should we really do this? And we were like, yeah, we should do it. And it was pretty much that saying, okay, yeah, we trust your instincts. And, but I don't know if everybody, because there's a lot of, and also budgets. Now that is a business decision. You can't help it. If your boss sitting in LA or wherever they're sitting, if they decide saying, you know what, we're gonna normalize, which is a euphemism for laying off people. If you lay off people, yeah, it's definitely going to affect. So those things you can't. I mean, it's like me saying, if you say tomorrow I'm going to cut down my podcast to monthly and not fortnightly. It's your business. You know better, right? So that's it.
So, what you said about McDonald's versus gourmet food brings to mind something Paul Graham said in the context of startups, which I've kind of adopted as my mantra, which is it's better to be loved by a few than liked by many. And in your case, you are actually lucky enough that Family Man being as successful as it is, that you're actually loved by many. And I want to ask you a question about audiences. Like on one hand, your corporate number crunchers will almost infantilize audiences by assuming that there is some kind of formula that plays to what audiences like, that oh, if a superhero film did well yesterday, then for the next 5 years there will be more superhero films, etc., etc. But on the other hand, the audience, it shows through its revealed preferences, through what it watches, that actually the audience is not stupid. The audience is very evolved. My favorite series of last year was Adolescence, and which was a huge hit as well, besides being for me a pinnacle in filmmaking. Equally, Family Man has done so well, and I imagine that the reasons it would have done well is not just the riveting thriller aspects of the story, but the other stuff that is happening between Srikant Tiwari and his wife, Srikant Tiwari and his kids, how relatable those relationships are. So I would actually argue that the audiences are much more evolved than the studios or the platforms give them credit for. What is your sense as a creator and a filmmaker and a writer of what our audiences are really like? Like, what are we getting wrong about our audiences?
See, but the being audience are definitely intelligent. Yes, uh, I mean that goes without saying. But let's say a type of a film like this, Macho Man comes and beats thousands of people up, has worked. That doesn't mean every single story like that will work, right? Because it's already worked, and there is this tendency to, say, oh, these days the audiences. No, first of all, audiences don't have time to think what kind of story should this production house make. That's not their job. It's your job, number one. And uh, I think Liam Gallagher said it beautifully of Oasis. He said that why is it that, I mean, when it comes to our business, we worry about what do audiences like. Example, music. Right? There should be a hook, there should be a signature, there should be this. I mean, there are many things. Like, why is it that we are doing what the audience wants? And when you look at the fashion industry, did the audience tell you, yeah, this summer the mohawk will be in vogue? No. But some guy comes up with, some person will come up with this design and suddenly it's become the rage. Now, but there is a flaw in that logic because fashion is like the top of the pyramid item, whereas movies are like a bottom of the pyramid thing. There's a flaw there. I understand that. But the logic is correct. The logic is that if you, like, this, right? People didn't want Beatles. It's not like the one day says, yeah, we want these four dudes to be playing this kind of. No, they brought something fresh. Beatles, they were written off, but the people love them because they surprise people. So I think it's coming back to that. Our quest has also, like, between Raj DK and I, our quest has also been that, we should at least we make a great valiant effort to make sure that we keep things fresh. By fresh, I mean surprising. Give it. Uh, yeah, it shouldn't, like, yeah, it looks like season 2. You've lost as a storyteller. Uh, so audience, if you're waiting for the audience to tell you, in a way of speaking, uh, now what you should be doing, well, I think it's already gone. I think at the end of the day, we're in the business of entertainment. And I'm pretty sure what entertains people, like, a classical horror has not made a comeback in a long, long time. Do that. Rom-com hasn't come. Do that. I mean, a love story came. For example, Sayara, big hit. I haven't watched it, but I'm told it's a massive hit. Why? It is bridging that gap that has been formed over the years. It is doing that. So everything is going to come back. It's only a matter of time, like a buddy cop movie comes out. It's been a while since a buddy cop movie, this thing. If you see, there's a reason why Srikanth and JK, the dynamic, people love it. Why? Buddy cop. Right? So things like that. So, like in Tamil, there's a saying, I will say it in Tamil first. புலிய பார்த்து பூனை சூடு வச்சுக்கிச்சான், which means to get the stripes of a tiger, after looking at the tiger, the cat, like like what do you call it, burnt itself to get stripes. Okay, that's what it means. Yeah, it sounds way better in Tamil. So you can't do that, like, oh, that guy did that, okay, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I think only spectacle films will work. Only that's why Marvel is really, Oppenheimer is a spectacle. By what? Who? By what lens is it? Oppenheimer is a big hit in India. My mind is blown. Right. So all these theories, right, are very cute to hear, but none of this. And it's unfortunately the this industry, this everybody is an expert, including the guy with free internet on his phone. Or you go and say something about film. Yeah, my film has come. It's been like 5 years since my film. Let's say one guy will come pop out of nowhere and say, worst film. I'm like, why? But yeah, it is that. So, and so the only way out of this is, what they say about what great managers do? Great managers take the chairs out of the way so that the talent can walk freely in and out. That's what great managers do. That's what you should do for filmmakers. That's what any production house or platform should be doing for filmmakers. Once you have invested, saying, I'm going to go after that, you have to make sure. And your job as a producer or a platform does not end once you have it. They have delivered. It is contingent upon you. It is for your own benefit that you should promote the movie. Not that it helps. Sometimes word of mouth will spread all that is there. So movie making is not about shooting the film, edit it, cut it, and then package it and give it to your producer. You can't just throw it in a movie hall saying, yeah, it's running there, go watch it. If you wanted to make money sooner, faster, you have to, it's your baby. As much as it's the writer, director's baby, whatever, but it's your baby too. So that's where I see gaps. I see these are very perceptible gaps where we go wrong. Like, do you know that the guy who made Tumbad, Rahul Anil Bharve, his movie has come out now called Maya Sabha. But it's Rahi need not promote it. Rahi can do only so much. He has a Twitter account, he has an Insta. His friends will probably whatever. But we are talking about the creator of Tumbad. Where will you take this movie now? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why. Honestly, I haven't spoken to Rahi, but I don't see too much noise online or offline about Maya Sabha.
Tell me about the next phase in your journey, which was becoming a director. Like you directed a few episodes of Family Man 3, you've directed your film, you're working on more films, I believe. So take me through that part of the journey, because what prompted that? Because that, like you said, is like at one level, it's an extension of the storytelling. The director's in charge of the story that is being told in a sense. You are stewarding the screenplay through to the finished product. But at the same time, it involves a lot of other skills like managing people, the logistics, etc., which is something not all creative people are comfortable with. So how did that transition happen to you? How did you think? What were the trade-offs?
I don't have the kida that, oh, one day I'll become director. And it's not like, oh, so Suman, now you're an established screenwriter. When are you becoming director? It's never that. It's not a promotion. It's a different job altogether. One. Two is when I ventured out with Ragutata, which is about my land, Tamil Nadu, and I know the history uh, from 1933 onwards. Still, recently how this whole anti-Hindi imposition, it's still a hot topic. People are talking about it. So I didn't want to get the political whatever of it, but I was being what do you say? I like putting characters in like very awful situations and see how they react. It's fun. So I said, what if the face of the protests, anti-Hindi imposition protests, is forced to learn Hindi? It's a great conflict. But why would she? Why would he do it? Then I said, what if it's a she? I told you already. Then so, and then I realized it involves a lot of one, the understanding the politics of it from 1933. Okay, and understanding of the socio-cultural fabric of Tamil people in Tamil Nadu and worldwide. Uh, so you need to, and also the Tamil sensibility. I mean, there is a, they say right that the Marathi language is the most beautiful for insults. It's very creative. I don't know. Somebody was telling me about it. It's very creative. I mean, how the insults are given. Similarly, Tamil, the the sardonic sense of humor that they have. It's not like I'm talking about the past masters. So I realized that for me, for the story to be executed how I see it, I have to direct it because I did not know that anybody else would have my sensibility because I'm historically informed, politically informed about this, and I'm a Tamilian, and who else will tell the story? So it's about that. It's like, I mean, it's like who said, Denzel Washington said, that's why what's his name, Spielberg did Schindler's List, and Marty Scorsese did, what is that movie? No, what is Marty's first movie? Shit.
First movie was Mean
No,
Streets, Taxi
no,
Driver,
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Not first movie, Goodfellas. Yeah. So I mean, can that's what Denzel Washington says. Can Spielberg make Goodfellas? Sure. Can he make Scorsese make Schindler's List? Of course, but that's not the point. All of us can do this, but the thing here, I felt that I need to tell the story. I need to control the narrative that I want. I didn't want it to get too political, get too, not like I was afraid. It's just that I was more. Somebody asked me, then I told them like I have no interest in trying to change the world. I just want to fuck with it.
Yeah.
So I mean that's why. So that's a long answer for a short question. That is why I want. And then when DK Rajan DK saw that like, they're like, why are you directing some? Why don't you direct season 3 as well? Some of it. I mean, I said, yeah, why not? I mean, imagine getting the opportunity to direct someone like Manoj Bajpayee is like the first shot I took of him. It's a very simple shot. He's looking at a mirror in the wash basin in the bathroom. He has an epiphany. He turns out and goes back. That's it. That's the first shot. And him being him. Suman Anna, are you okay? Was my performance okay? He'll do all that. I immediately called Chitra. I said, hey, guess what? What? First shot I did with Manoj Bajpayee. It's a, I mean, it was I was proud. Like, uh, struggling to pay school fees to. Yeah, I thought about it in that moment. Yeah. So, do I want to direct everything I write? No. Will I write for others? Absolutely yes. I'll continue doing that. But whenever I see that this story I need to tell, I will direct it. It's more of a uh, sensibility game than anything else.
And just as being a writer, it probably took you many, many years to find a language of your own, to understand what works for you and what doesn't, and all of that. How was it as a director finding a language? For example, if I take two very contrasting shots within Family Man 3, and both of them work brilliantly, and one is that first shot, which is just a single shot thing, and it's just brilliantly done. It's very intricate. Must have taken a lot of planning and logistical coordination to shoot, etc., etc. It's a fantastic shot. It's very elaborate, and at the same time, you have that quiet, intimate scene we spoke about, where it's just they're sitting on the floor of a train, the father and the daughter, and they're talking, and there is no great craftsmanship you're trying to show with the camera or the cutting or whatever. It's just, it is what it is. You've put the camera there. The two characters are uh, doing their job, and that also works brilliantly. So these are almost, in a sense, like two different kinds of extremes in terms of approach. So, how has your way of thinking about filmmaking evolved? Like, would you say that you have linguistic preferences? Like, often when one comes to cinema, you can talk about, Kurosawa versus Ozu, and no value judgment. They're both giants and geniuses, but Kurosawa is just is so much movement. Everything is choreographed. The camera is moving all the time. It's spectacular. And Ozu is, he'll just put the camera there
Yeah.
and let the silence speak, and that's, and so how do you find your space? Does it always, did you have inherent preferences, or is it always purely functional depending on what you're trying to do with the scene?
I have been very heavily influenced by Rajan DK, obviously. And that oneer is like it's their signature. So Rajan DK is known for like great oneers, like there is season 1 or season 2. They're known for it. So, and season 2, we started again a oneer, if you noticed. Season 2 starts with a oneer in that Sri Lankan camp, whatever. I honestly, like what you're asking me is, have you found your voice as a director? But I think once you have found your voice as a writer, because what that means is you've already seen the film in your, show or film in your head. You know exactly. Uh, so you already pretty much know what you're going to do. And also, because I come from, like I told you, right, all that I've accrued over the years, like the design theory, structure, everything, right? Now that comes into play here as well. Like, something as simple as if I have a frame, something as simple as if I have a frame, I will not put you bang in the middle of it. That's most boring. Rule of thirds, all this, like the golden ratio. I mean, there are many things like that. When to be dynamic. I mean, dynamic need not necessarily mean the camera is moving. You can create a dynamism, which Kurosawa does brilliantly by using elements of nature, fire, rain, whatnot. There are many ways of doing it. But I don't think about all this. What I do is, like, I'll give an example. I always look at the story. The story always tells you, the scene, rather, in this case, the scene always tells you pretty much 60% how you should approach and execute it. Like, for example, there is a scene between Stephen and Srikant Tiwari in the bonfire. They're sitting and they're talking. He's talking about Kulkarni, he's talking about that. And then he says, he's in Burma. I know one guy, I'll call him. And then he goes and calls Chalam sir. Chalam sir says, there's only one guy, but don't be caught up with your ego. Go call him. Right. So that scene where he's talking to Stephen. Originally, it was it was master, uh, and then you're doing close up, and that was it. That was it. That's what, and it is good. There's nothing right or wrong here. And I said, we are in a camp, a secret jungle camp that Stephen has organized, and he's hiding here, right? So we have to show that part without actually doing another scene for it. So suddenly we did, okay, we had this dolly arm, and I told this, and I said, then DK and I were discussing. I told DK, like, no, what if the camera starts here on top, and there are two guards who are standing, and they start moving towards each other, and the camera comes down, and frames your master with both of them in the frame. That way we can show the camp. I mean, a little bit of it, whatever can be seen, and then you come down and I'm only asking for this so that it gives the thing. Oh, wait a minute. There is security around the camp. They are in a dangerous area. It adds that little bit of intrigue and drama. Okay, it works perfectly fine even if you just put without doing this. So most often than not, at least to me, like I don't go into like, oh, what would Kurosawa have done? No, I mean, read the script, read the scene,
Whatever the scene demands.
whatever the scene demands. Like, for example, another example, I'll stop with this, is they're abducted. Srikanth Tiwari and JK are abducted, and they come and they are hoods, and you remove the hood, right? So you have not been exposed to daylight, presumably for a few hours. Now, as soon as I do that, what is your first reaction? You'll be like, that's what you will do, correct? So I simply said the camera has to move like that. If I'm doing this, and you do a point of view shot, the camera has to move and then finally focus on Stephen. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm just saying. So this is it comes from logic, right? Okay, they have not seen daylight for hours. It will, like, hurt their eyes, and they will squirm and shake and whatnot. So if you're doing a point of view shot, the camera has to move crazy like that, but not like this, but focus. Until then, it's all blurred out. Once the camera stops, Stephen comes into focus.
For the listener, since this is an audio podcast, for the listener, I will say that just imagine Suman moving his arms from side to side as he says the camera has to move like this to mirror the sort of the head shaking from side to side, trying to, adjust to the light.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, it's like once you have written it, everybody, even a DOP or a costume designer or a production designer, they are getting everything from what's written. Similarly, even short division can be from unless now you will say sometimes in the interest of time, I've done like a guy is abducted from a particular place. Now I don't have time. I have 45 minutes to shoot this. So I said, rehearse it. We'll shoot last 10 minutes. Rehearse it. Last 10 minutes, we'll do the actual shot. It's a 1 hour. We don't have time for multiple cameras. So sometimes necessity drives innovation, and sometimes vanity too, I guess. I don't know.
So now that you're writing another book, tell me about how you've changed as a writer because of all of this filmmaking in between. You've written screenplays in between, you've done stand-up in between. So between Ranga Half Pants and this top secret book you're writing, how do you think you've changed? What do you think you've learned?
I think my sense of I struggled initially, by the way, because I'm writing like a screenplay, no details, nothing. I have to say, and her kanchi silk sari ruffled as she walked, hurried across the corridor. I'm just saying, I'm making lines up. And I'm like, what color is the kanchi silk sari? I mean, how do you say it? She is wearing a green color kanchi silk sari. It's boring. How do you get that information in? So I've become better at sneaking it in. I realized my mistake when and scrapped everything I wrote because I know the scenes and I rewrote it. I become better at structure. I was like, so it's a story about a small town guy in Andhra in the 90s, mid 90s, and how he's thrust in the world of espionage and conspiracy is pretty much the story. I wish I will tell you once we're done with the podcast about the idea, but this is the story. So now you don't start with, oh, there is this guy who was in a small town. Boring. So, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, and then I asked ChatGPT, what do you think, linear or non-linear? And then ChatGPT immediately said, both work, but this has advantages, that has its advantages, whatever. I'm like, fuck it. And I said, I'm going to go with non-linear. That gave me a fishbone approach where coming back. I'm coming back. Like you are on the mission, something triggers a memory, and you go back in time. I'm enjoying that. So I've become better at it, better at character development. I'm better at character design rather. But I don't want it to. I'm scared that it will read more like a well-written screenplay than my fear is that. So I'm trying to, because like we discussed the fundamental difference between the experience that a book offers and experience a film offers. So I want it to like really soak in the goodness of the premise, which is, imagine you're talking espionage conspiracy, global conspiracy to small town in the 90s is great. It's a great canvas according to me. So, but this all this writing in between Ranga Half Pants and this my new book of mine, all this writing for film, yeah, it's really helped me. I write faster. There's more discipline now.
Amazing. So, I've taken up a lot of your time today. Thanks so much for spending this time. What are the things that you're working on now? Whatever you can talk about, what excites you? You said you're like a kid in a candy shop and everything is great. So, tell me about how your days play out and what you're looking forward to in the years to come.
I am currently working on Fuzzy season 2. We're developing it. Other than that, that is for Rajan DK and I and Sita. Four of us are like developing it. Other than that, there is this book project. I am developing a classical horror film,
Wow.
which I want to make it in Hindi, and I'm also developing a comedy drama, which again involves a kind of horror, but it's not horror. I don't want people to slot it as horror comedy. It's much smarter than that. So I'm that film. I may end up directing a Malayalam film. Emphasis should be on May because nothing is on paper yet. But most likely, I will end up directing a Malayalam film this
Why
year.
Malayalam?
So this friend of mine, uh, who's a producer, he came and pitched the story to me, and I really liked it. Why not Malayalam?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic because it gets you out of your comfort zone, but also Tamil, Telugu, English are the three languages you really know well so far. So,
I told myself that my first film that I'm doing as a director should be in Tamil because mother tongue and whatnot. Done. That's done now. Now I'm ready for anything. Bhojpuri, Malayalam, anything, any language. As long as it's cinema, we'll do it.
fantastic. So, to wind up the episode, my last question, recommend for me and my listeners, books, films, music, any kind of art at all that means a lot to you, gives you a lot of joy, you want to share it with the whole world.
Ah, books specifically. Read a lot of Stephen King, especially his non-fiction book
On writing.
on writing, The Memoir to the Craft, for sure. For filmmaking, there is this book by Alexander McKendrick on filmmaking again. It's a brilliant book. If I'm not wrong, Scorsese has written the foreword. Alexander McKendrick on filmmaking. It's available on Amazon. What else? Movies. Watch a lot of Malayalam films.
What are your favorites recently?
There are many. I'll start with old favorite. I think this is 10 years back, I think, or probably, yeah. Mahesh Inde Prathigaram, which is basically means Mahesh's Revenge. One of my all-time favorite go-to movies. It's that. And there is Trance. There is I'm Manjumal Boys. Uh, all these you guys will probably know. I mean, these are the Hotel California of Malayalam films. Romancham, there is a movie that's I know the producer, but when I watched it, my mind was blown. Uh, pop, pop, pop. I think Jaya 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 Hai. I've already said it. Jaya 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 Hai is a film that I It's a bonkers movie, and a comedy drama again. Uh, this girl who's abused as physically, abused and assaulted by her husband, learns karate from YouTube and beats the shit out of him. It's incredibly hilarious.
Can't wait to watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In Kannada, I think you should watch Su from So. Great film. In Tamil, I think you should definitely watch Ragutata and Z5, one of the best films ever made.
Absolutely. My great privilege to know the filmmaker, actually. Can you believe it?
Then my go-to whenever I'm feeling low, whenever I'm feeling, there are a bunch of films from Hollywood that I resort to. Nobody, this is not on any list. In not any particular order. No Country for Old Men, Shawshank Redemption, As Good as It Gets, and purely because it inspired me, The Devil's Own. It's a 90s film, Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt, where Brad Pitt plays this IRA operative who's in America to do a mission. Though it's critics didn't consider it whatever, I really love the film. These are my. And what else? Yeah, of course. Whenever you feel like watching a romantic film, or if you want to learn how to craft a romantic film, look no further than Notting Hill. Yeah.
Lovely. You mentioned, when you feel low, do you still feel low? Like, have those insecurities all gone? Do you still have,
I'm much
moments?
better now, but still, I mean, I need to work on it again. I think it all comes from, uh, it all comes from your childhood, I guess. I mean, all your, like, I'm here, obviously for a podcast, I'm still asking, am I talking too much? That's what I'm supposed to do in a podcast, but I still keep asking. So this, I have this tendency to, like, am I being nice to people? Am I like being rude? That it constantly plays on my head.
How has the passing of time, crossing 50, both of us are exactly the same age, how has that affected you? Because I think, like in my own case, I look back on the last few years and you realize that the years pass by so fast. The days are long, but the years are short, and perspective kind of changes. I know now that I don't want the same things I wanted 15 years ago. I don't have the same dreams, even the same daydreams. I mean, some daydreams remain the same because of habit, but you kind of look at life a little differently, more forest, less tree in many ways. So, how have you changed in that sense, as far as, the passing of time is concerned, and being in your 50s now?
I mean, I don't think the age has anything to do with it. It's the experience, because I know a lot of morons who are like 50.
Yeah.
But what it has done to me is, I'm glad that whatever little success that I enjoy has come my way when I was older and wiser. Oh man, imagine a 25-year-old me getting this kind of success. I would have gone nuts.
In fact, that's one of the things that I'm glad about, that I failed when I was young, because
It's very
success can destroy people, I've
destroy
seen.
people. Yeah, way more than failure. So how has it changed? I've become. See, again, one of the my greatest inspirations is Chitra. She has been working out for the past at least 3 years, where she's like, my family has a history of this, whatever, this thing. I don't want those problems. So for me to fight that, I'm going to become strong. And she chose to become. While I was partying away, whiling away, drinking every other day, all that shit, which you should not do, listeners. And so now, off late, I realized, very recently, I realized, wait a minute, you actually don't want to smoke, but you want to have a pack of cigarettes in your pocket because you're used to it. That revelation struck hard. Like, me, I've been here for a few hours. I'm not that heavy a smoker. Like, by this time, my habitual smoker would have gone at least twice. I'm not that bad, but still, that's conditioning. When I don't have a pack of smoke in my pocket, I panic, and I realize I don't need this at all. Similarly, like, and I think people don't want to call themselves addicts to something. There is a negative connotation to it. I realize that there is no shame in saying that, I'm addicted to smoking, or I'm addicted to alcohol. Then suddenly it becomes that much easier for you to this thing, because I mean, I also want to tell more stories. I want to also maybe direct more series and movies, and I have to be at the peak of my whatever little physical prowess I'm left with. I can't, I have fucked around enough. Done. Ho gaya abhi. So this maturity, or as you call it, old age, happened recently, and I've been leading a. None of my friends will believe you that no, Suman Kumar wakes up at 7 o'clock. He works out 7:30 to 8:30, and then drinks a protein shake along with some fruits. Nobody will believe you. Why nobody? Chitra won't believe you.
Wow.
That's how. Uh, I'm in a happy place. I'm very happy with what I have done. So if uh, let's say from today onwards or tomorrow onwards, I'm not allowed to write a word, make a film, not allowed to do any of this. I know nobody can stop me from writing. Let's say filmmaking and say no more films for you, no more series for you. Done. Bye bye Tata. I'll go a happy man and write maybe 2 books at the same time. So yeah,
So, Suman, thanks so much. It's so great. I mean, this is our in 20 years our first actual conversation.
I know,
So,
right?
thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. So I was telling Chitra that I'm gonna be on Amit Verma's podcast, and she's like mentioned my name 10 times. So there you go, Chitu. I hope you're happy, and yeah, thanks Amit. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, buddy. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, check out the show notes, enter rabbit holes at will, watch all of his work, read his book, awesome fun. You will enjoy it. You can follow Suman on Twitter at SumanK, that's one word. You can follow me on Twitter at Amit Verma, AmitVarma. You can browse past episodes of The Seen and the Unseen at seenunseen.in and every podcast app of your choice, and indeed in the fertile meadows of your imagination where my voice sounds like a voice from heaven, doesn't it? Did you enjoy this episode of The Seen and the Unseen? If so, would you like to support the production of the show? You can go over to seenunseen.in/support and contribute any amount you like to keep this podcast alive and kicking. Thank you.